So hey anime fans. The series name is What If Naruto Summoned Kaguya. So let's start the series. A blonde-haired boy of 13 could be seen sinking to the bottom of the ocean, a huge sword lodged into his side, due to the actions of his supposed teammate. The boy had stunning blue eyes that shined with an unyielding will, his skin was tan, and 3 whisker marks could be seen on each side of his face. The boy was dressed in an orange and blue jumpsuit and blue sandals. This boy is Uzumaki Naruto, and he was both drowning and bleeding out. All because his teammate Uchiha Sasuke had gotten upset that he had talked the enemy out of fighting, keeping the boy from gaining his oh so precious Sharingan. He, with what he thought was his last act in the world of the living, lifted up his middle finger and gurgled out, "Fuck you Sasuke team." He then blacked out, not knowing that his body had just been wrapped in a pure white shell of energy. Inside of the shell, 3 women appeared. The first of the 3 had long silver hair that spiked out everywhere. She had pale skin that seemed to shine in the shell. Her eyes were this stunning shade of gold that could make a dragon lick its lips in lust. From her head 2 thick horns could be seen poking out. Her ears were pointed and elegant. She was dressed in a light plum kimono with red prayer beads around her neck. On her lips was a light appliance of pink lipstick. The next woman had long flowing light-colored hair that was simply regal. Her eyes were pale white, and had no pupil. Her skin was also pale, yet didn't shine like the other woman's. In the center of her forehead was a vertical slit. Poking out of her hair was what looked like 2 horns. She was dressed in a simple high-collared Heim-style kimono that was white, and had black commas woven into collar, and in the sides, she had a light appliance of purple lipstick on her lips, and her fingernails were painted a royal purple. The last of the 3 women had long black golden blonde hair that seemed to shine with a supernatural light. Her skin was fair and blemish-free. Her eyes were large green emeralds, her pupils shining red rubies. The strange thing was the golden arch-like things on her side and back. She was dressed in a white and dark gray kimono that had a strange pattern going up the front. Around her eyes were thick gold lines. These 3 were Tsubasa or Shinigami, Akatsuki Kaguya, otherwise known as Princess Kaguya or Cabbit Goddess, and Kami, otherwise known as Arceus, the goddess of Pokemon. Tsubasa, looking down at Naruto, gently removed the sword from his side. She then removed his shirt and jacket. Her eyes gained a cold fury spotting the many scars covering his body, including what looked like the words "demon spawn" carved into his chest. She, turning to Kaguya, and spotting the appalled eyes of the woman, said, "He is your one shot at redemption. You see, 13 years ago I sealed the 9-tailed fox inside of him, due to Kami making a mistake during her paperwork, marking him as the Jinchuriki of said fox and my summoner not paying the price with his life. He was then subjected to treatment should ever go through. Tsukuyomi personally witnessed him almost being beaten to death 4 times, Amaterasu witnessed him almost being raped 6 times, I myself witnessed him be starved and he be crucified. What amazes all of us is that he hasn't snapped yet, nor has he been corrupted by the evil of life. No, he's still pure as the driven snow." Kami, realizing her mistake a few years ago, instantly started to paperwork to fix her blunder. She, gaining a happy smile on her face, said she just finished the paperwork, and now things can be fixed. "Kaguya, you have been chosen to be his mother, as his true family left him to fend for himself in that damned village. Kami has been listening to request to introduce a few of your children to this world, and has decided to grant said request by allowing the Pokemon as a brand new summon that will go to Naruto. Don't worry, he won't abuse them or anything. In fact, he'll probably see this as his family, or precious people, and protect them with his life. Also, could you maybe bless him with the powers of a few legendaries?" Kami, hearing this, smiled and said, "I can, but after Kaguya-san becomes his new mom." Tsubasa, hearing this, smiled and turned to Kaguya, who was already kneeling beside Naruto. She, gently touching one of his whisker marks, said, "He is going to be my new Sochi-kun. Such a strong will, such potential." She, turning to Tsubasa, asked, "Besides informing us of this, and bringing us here, what else is your business here?" Tsubasa, giggling, said, "I'm here to give him the blessing of Tsukuyomi, Amaterasu, Susanoo, Izanami, Izanagi, Yami, Kami, and myself. As you know, that makes all 8 of the eternal deities to give him their blessing, which will turn him into a new god, also to ask him what he wants to do with the Kyuubi." Kaguya, hearing this, nodded and asked, "How will I be turning him into my son?" Tsubasa, smiling, pulled out a very shiny and sharp needle. She said, "With this, it's been blessed by Kamine and Izanagi Aji. I simply get some blood from you. It interacts with Kami and Izanagi's power, and hello nurse, it's changed into pure DNA that once introduced to his system will transform him into your new darling baby boy. Kaguya hearing this rolled up the sleeve of her kimono and said, then please get to work, as I want to hold my baby for a little while before I'm forced back into that cursed prison my two eldest trapped me. Tsubasa nodding, stuck the needle into Kaguya's arm, and drew enough blood to fill the syringe. She removing the needle from Kaguya's arm, smiled when the red blood quickly turned golden. She then sticking the needle directly into Naruto's heart emptied the syringe. Removing the needle, she made the syringe vanish, just as Naruto shot up with wide eyes. He then said, I'm up Haruno, don't poke me with that flaming kunai. He then blinked when he heard three very distinct, and very pretty sounding giggles. He turning his head gasped, spotting the three women. Naruto was about to ask what was going on, when Kaguya explained everything to him, even who they were. Naruto blinking at this, smiled and wrapped Kaguya in a warm hug and said, wow, I must be really lucky to have such a gorgeous woman as my new mom. Kaguya with a tiny blush on her face said, I am truly the luckiest woman in the world to have such a flatterer for my new and youngest child. He then smiling at her asked, so I noticed you have the Byakugan like the Hyuga clan, does this mean I'm going to get it too? Kaguya shaking her head said, I'm afraid not, but you will be gaining something much better. Naruto with a curious look on his face asked, what's better than one of the three great Dojutsu? Kaguya smiling said, the fourth unheard of great Dojutsu, allow me to show it to you. She then closed her eyes and pushed chakra into the slit on her forehead. Naruto gasped when said slit opened up and an eye appeared. This eyes was dark red, with 6 large rings surrounding a single round dot. On each of the rings 6 tomo sat, making a total of 36 tomo in the eye. Did he forget to mention that the tomo were snow white? Kaguya opening her eyes smiled and said, behold the fourth great Dojutsu Kyosugan, Eye of Chaos. It has all of the abilities of the other 3 Dojutsu, but amplified. For instance, the Byakugan can see almost 360 degrees in every direction, and can see the chakra inside of someone's body. It can see the chakra in the air, and allow you to manipulate the chakra all around you. Another for instance is the Rinnegan allows the user to wield all 5 of the elemental affinities. It allows you to not only do that, but to wield the elements and use the elements of light and shadow. Naruto hearing this said, whoa, that totally sounds badass mom. She giggling said, it is baby, now Kami-san has something for you. Naruto turning his eyes to Kami, gave her his full attention. Kami smiling said, alright Naruto-kun, I have decided to bless you with the powers of a couple of my more powerful exclusive children. The first will be Jiraiya, my little rebellious princess. She is the ruler of the distorted world, and one of the most feared of my children. Next is Molters, he's the living embodiment of fire, and is capable of producing flames that put the sun's flames to shame. Then we have Articuno, my little ice queen. She's literally the coldest of my children, and can summon blizzards that could freeze an polar bear. Then we have Kyogre, who is said to have created the oceans. While battling her older brother Groudon, she's literally a titan of the sea, and when she primal reverts she can summon a storm that could flood the lands. Next to last we have Mutuo, who is one of the most powerful, yet most awkward of my children. Don't get me wrong though, she can crush a mind or anything for that matter with just a thought. Last we have Zekrom, the Pokemon version of the goddess of storms. She has lightning in her control and isn't afraid to use it to get what she wants. She usually sides with the person with ideals. Naruto getting an image of each Pokemon, felt like shitting his pants spotting Giratina, Kyogre and Zekrom. Mutuo reminded him of a Sasuke, while Molters and Articuno looked like giant birds to him. Kami smiling said, you'll be able to meet and work with each of them, since Kami has decided to allow you to exclusive privilege of summoning all of my wonderful children. Do treat them with love and care. Naruto smiling said, I promise to treat them like they were my own flesh and blood, and I never go back on my promises. Kami giggled hearing this. Tsubasa then stepping forward said, now for the last part, Akatsuki Naruto, you have done something no mortal has ever managed to achieve. You have received not only the blessing of all 8 of the eternal deities but have earned their respect. It is with great honor I welcome you to the position of the 9th eternal deity. It has been decided that you will be the god of carnage, technology and destruction. Naruto hearing this felt his mouth open wide. He shaking his head managed to stand, and bowed deeply. He said, I am deeply honored Shinigami-sama. I will try my best to not dishonor the 8 eternal deities. Tsubasa giggling said I know you will. Anyway, I have a question to ask you. Naruto blinking asked what is it Shinigami-sama? Tsubasa pouting said first of all call me Tsubasa-chan, or Tsubasa-hime, or at the least Tsubasa-ne. The question is what do you want to do with the Kyuubi? Naruto blinking said why does it matter what I want done with Jinx-ne? Tsubasa smiling said because now that you're an eternal deity she can't stay sealed in you. Naruto hearing this pouted and asked why not Tsubasa-ne? Tsubasa smiling at him calling her sister said because she wasn't even supposed to be sealed inside of you in the first place. Naruto hearing this, quickly started to think, he getting an idea asked can she be sealed in something else? Tsubasa tilting her head asked like what? Naruto pointing to Zabuza's sword asked that. Tsubasa picking up said sword, tossed it a few times and said sure just as long as promises to be a good girl. Naruto cheered and said yay now Jinx-ne can stay by my side. Tsubasa giggling waved her hand, and a red orb floated out of Naruto, and slammed into the sword then transformed from a thick and huge blade, to a simple and elegant katana, with a blood-red blade. Tsubasa then gaining a serious look in her eyes said alright Naruto Otuto, we have to go now, Kaguya has to return to the moon, Kami has to return to her dimension and I have to return to the cursed paperwork. Kaguya hearing this wrapped Naruto in a gentle hug and said stop hiding yourself away baby, show your true skills, and ask out Yuzuki Uego already, trust me it'll won't end bad. Naruto nodding said okay mom I will. All three women then vanished. Naruto walking over to his new katana, picked it up and said alright Jinx you heard mom, it's time to pierce the veil. He then closing his eyes took a deep breath, and dropped the shell around him. Feeling the cold water hit his body, he closed his eyes and tried to focus on the power of molters, but was finding it really hard to focus with spotting all of the marine life all around him, including a hungry-looking shark. He finally feeling a raging burning inferno inside of his body, tapped into it, his body instantly lit aflame, and he swore he could hear the screech of a large bird. He crouching down, packing all of his chakra into his legs, prepared to jump, he shooting up, quickly breached the surface of the ocean, and was in the air above the bridge. He didn't know it but his entire body was surrounding in a cloak of flames, that had taken on the shape of a bird. He looking down, could see all of wave, and a little beyond said country in each direction. He then focusing his eyes down, tightened his grip on Jinx spotting Kakashi beating the shit out of Sasuke. Sakura was trying to stop said man. Haku was being held back by Tazuna, who was being held back by Zabuza. The only person who didn't look like they wanted to rip the arrogant Uchiha to pieces was his utterly useless fangirl. He groaning wondered why and how did he ever have a crush on such a useless being. He shaking his head turned his attention to the rather large army moving towards the bridge, led by what looked like a midget, he knowing that this was Gato. Smirked spotting the many ships the man had heading towards the bridge, he closing his eyes tried to remember the hand signs for the summoning jutsu, remembering them. He scraped his finger across one of his larger canine teeth, and went through the hand signs, slamming his hand down on Jinx's blade he yelled out summoning jutsu. A few poofs of smoke occurred, and when the smoke vanished, on the ground were large light blue and red bipedal alligators, along with large dark blue turtles with cannons in its shell. Naruto activating his powers from Mutuo sent the mental command to attack the ships coming this way, and that he was Naruto their new summoner. The animals roaring, jumped into the water, while the alligators did. The turtles walked to the end of the bridge and started firing large jets of water out at the ships. He then dropping from his position high in the air, appeared in front of Haku. He dismissing Molter's power, smirked at the wide eyes of Haku, Tazuna and Zabuza. Haku asked Naruto-kun? Naruto striking the nice guy pose said Yash. The one and only, with some improvements. He then gaining a serious look on his face, turned around and said Oi Kakashi-sensei as much as I would like for the team to be beaten to within an inch of his life, you're gonna have to wait, as we have an army to deal with. Kakashi dropping the bloody and bruised Sasuke, turned to Naruto and gained wide eyes spotting Naruto's eyes. His Kyosugan activated revealing his dark purple eyes, with 3 rings, and 3 tomo on the innermost ring. The tomo of course were snow white. Naruto spotting his reflection in Kakashi's headband said I'll explain later sensei. He lifting Jinx onto his shoulder said we have business to handle. He turning to Zabuza said time to show everyone why you're called the demon of the hidden mist. Looking at Haku he said you don't have to fight if you don't want to Haku. He smirking at Tazuna asked, "Hey old man, got any sake left?" Tazuna, wondering why he asked this, nodded and pulled out a large bottle of said beverage. Naruto's smirk widened as he said, "Toss it here old man, and you'll see something totally badass." Azuna, tossing Naruto the bottle, blinked when Naruto uncorked it and took a heavy swig of the drink. Naruto's cheeks were bulged out, as he once again tapped into the powers of Moltres and Mutuo. He, speaking with his mind, said, "White fire style, fangs of the great fire dog." Everyone including Sasuke gained wide eyes when out of Naruto's mouth and aura 10 huge fire dogs appeared, snarling and growling. All 10 of them were made of pure white flames, and seemed to be alive. The largest dog, howling, shot forward to attack the now visible army of Gato, the rest soon behind him. Naruto, lifting up Jinx, said, "Let's cause some mayhem, shadow clone jutsu." A poof of smoke later and 300 Narutos could be seen covering the bridge, each one holding up Jinx and coated in flames. Naruto then shot forward, followed closely by his clones. Zabuza, smiling, pulled out his backup sword and said, "I really like this kid." He then charged forward. Kakashi, lifting up his headband, revealed his Sharingan and said, "Hokage-sama would kill me if I didn't help Naruto with this. Besides, what kind of big brother and sensei doesn't help his little brother slaughter an army?" Haku, putting on her mask, said, "I will help my first friend, and will kill my emotions to help him save Wave." She then ran forward, intent on helping Naruto and the others defend Wave. Sakura was being useless and trying to fawn over Sasuke, who was glaring at Naruto with pure hate. Naruto, slicing through a thug, jumped over another one, crushing the man's mind with a thought. Landing, he kicked a man in his gut, making the man turn into a pile of still smoking black ashes. Naruto, tossing a few kunai at some men, said, "Wind style, tornado slicing blades." Huge blades of wind appeared and started slicing through men, forming large twisters, that formed even more blades. He, spotting a clone jump in the air, watched it go through more hand signs. It then called out, "Fire style, dragon flame jutsu." Another clone not far away cried out, "Lightning style, lightning dragon jutsu." The lightning dragon hit the twister, made it start shooting out sparks. Naruto, spotting the fire hitting this, cried out, "Combination jutsu, raging lightning storm." The attack tore through thug after thug, spraying blood everywhere. Naruto, ducking, shoved a sharp kunai into the throat of another thug. Grabbing that thug's head, he pulled with all of his might and pulled out not only the head, but the man's spine also. Sticking his hand in the man's mouth, Naruto started to kill other thugs with the man's spine. Did I forget to mention that Naruto was channeling some lightning chakra through the spine, so the thugs were dying painfully. Naruto, then tossing the spine like a spear, shot forward with a kunai in each hand. Appearing behind a large group of thugs, he tossed the kunai at 2 thugs coming behind Haku just as the thugs all separated from the rest of their bodies. Pretty soon all that was left of the army was Gato, Naruto, Haku, Zabuza, and Kakashi were coated in blood. Some time ago the people of Wave had appeared, and everyone was now standing in a circle around Gato, who was being held down by some Naruto clones. Naruto, walking forward, turned to the people and asked, "Alright people, what do you guys want to do with this scum?" The entire crowd screamed out, "Kill him." Naruto, hearing this, nodded and said, "Your wish is my command." He, signaling to his clones, who pushed the man until his head was touching the bridge. Naruto, walking over to the man, climbed up on the shoulders of one of the turtles. He, raising his left hand, said, "Gato, for your crimes a jury of your peers have sentenced you to death. There will be no mercy, no second chances. I, Akatsuki Naruto, the god of carnage, technology, and destruction, am your executioner. Goodbye." Naruto then jumped into the air, and once he was high enough, lifted his left foot and cried out, "Taijutsu, curb stomp." He then came down and stomped on Gato's head, crushing it and causing blood and brain matter to explode everywhere. Naruto, scowling, said, "I knew that was a bad idea, but no, I decided to do it anyway. No, I've got to clean brain matter off of my feet." He then, turning to the people of Wave, smiled and said, "Wave, you are now free of the tyranny of Gato, the bridge can be built, and your first steps to peace can be achieved. Rejoice." The people, hearing this, started to cheer loudly. Next thing, Naruto was being tossed up and down, his name being cheered and praised. Haku, Kakashi, and Zabuza in the same boat. Naruto, laughing joyfully, said, "You're welcome." Kakashi was simply basking in all of the attention he was getting, and not being called a pervert. Haku was blushing, and Zabuza was scowling, not liking this one bit. Sasuke was scowling even worse, as in his mind once again the dobe had shown him up and stepped out of his place. Sakura was scowling as Sasuke was scowling, and she already knew the source of said scowl. She growling said, "Naruto baka, I'm gonna punish you for upsetting Sasuke-kun." Tazuna on the other hand was happily chugging from his sake bottle, as he was extremely happy. A week later, Naruto could be seen staring at a rather imposing statue on the completed bridge. It was him standing tall among a pile of bodies, Jinx shining brightly in his right hand, and flames licking at his feet, his Kyosugen activated. The strange thing about the statue was the mark on his arm. It was a large C, with what looked like little bugs crawling over it, and ruble around it. This symbol was what the people of Wave had decided his symbol was going to be, and the symbol they were going to worship was going to look like. They had even created some new clothes for him with said symbol in it. He was now wearing a open purple jacket, with black flames on it. On the back was the symbol in bright orange. On each of his hands were black metal-plated fingerless gloves. His pants were purple, with torn-out knees, but seemed to be threaded back together with black strings. He had on thick black boots, purple strings making them his. Strapped to his back with a black strap was Jinx, his headband shining proudly on his forehead. Beside him smiling proudly was Kakashi. On his other side smiling fondly at him was Haku. Zabuza on the other hand was reading the words on the statue. Whistling, the man said, "This is the statue of our hero. He was drowned in the waters below this very bridge, and was brought back to life, gaining the powers of a god. Beware all that trespass on this land seeking to do harm. The god of carnage, technology and destruction watches over this land, the land of his rebirth, the land of his first slaughter, land of his religion." He turning to Naruto said, "Damn brat, they really took what you said to heart. You know that they're going to start worshipping you even more now, right?" Naruto huffing said, "Whatever, let's go to Konoha already, before the fangirls swarm me again." Kakashi giggling said, "Welcome to the curse of the being badass, Naruto." Naruto, ignoring this statement, turned around and walked off of the bridge, walking right by the bruised and limping Sasuke, and the arm in a sling, and talking with a slur Sakura. Haku, who was right behind him, sent a glare at both people, remembering how the two idiots tried to take Naruto's power and kill him for refusing to give it to him. She then giggled, remembering that Naruto did a less powerful version of his curb stomp on the Uchiha, and broke Haruno's arm in 7 different places, then proceeded to shut the girl up by delivering a literally jaw-shattering punch to the girl's face. They had enjoyed peace and quiet for 6 days now. Kakashi behind her pulled out his book, already preparing himself for the earful he was going to get once they got back to Konoha. Zabuza, pulling out his own copy of Kakashi's book, wondered how Naruto was going to get him into Konoha. Haku was going to be no problem, but he was a missing ninja, a powerful one at that. Naruto himself was wondering how his little future genin were going to respond to their boss/big brother being a literal god now. He then stopped and giggled slightly, already picturing the looks on the council's face. He right there swore to bring a camera to record the moments forever. Another week later the group finally arrived in Konoha, yet Sasuke was still limping. This time though he was limping because he tried to have his way with Haku, and not only did Naruto beat the shit out of the boy, but Haku made the boy sterile. And Zabuza was close to sending the boy to the rest of his clan. Luckily for him, Kakashi informed them that he was still needed for the Chunin exams. Naruto also said that the civilian council might flip out if Zabuza killed their precious Uchiha. Naruto, once inside of the village, lead Zabuza and Haku to the Hokage's office, Kakashi behind them. Kakashi and Zabuza noticed something though. The people in the village was looking at Naruto with wide eyes, some of them even looking at him with respect. The closer they got to the Hokage tower, the more people started to do it. Haku soon picked up on it, and narrowed her eyes, wondering what was going on. Naruto was too deep in his thoughts to notice. He was wondering how was he going to train his jujitsu, as he couldn't even use any of the Sharingan properties. Nor could he use anything of the Rinnegan besides the elements. He had full access to the Byakugan parts. Jinx was just as clueless as he was. She was also pushing him to learn some more sword skills, as she wanted to be used for more than a walking stick. Arriving at the tower, Naruto walked in and was walking up the stairs. Once outside of the doors to the Hokage's office, Naruto snapped out of his thoughts and gained a great big smile. He, kicking open the doors, said, "Oi old man, you might as well give me the hat now, as I'm back not from a C-rank mission but according to Kakashi-sensei a high A to a low S-rank mission. Sarutobi hearing this smiled and said I know Naruto. Naruto hearing this blinked and asked how do you know? Sarutobi pulling out a little black book, opened it to a saved page and tossed it to Naruto. He catching it looked at it and gained huge comical eyes. The reason why was because he was looking at a picture of him coated in flames, slicing through a thug with jinx. Kakashi was looking over his shoulder gaping like a fish. Zabuza was trying very hard not to laugh. Haku on the other hand was very worried for her first friend now. Kakashi then read Akatsuki Naruto aka the god of carnage, eye color, natural unknown, believed to have a unknown Dojutsu, hair color, platinum blonde or silver, height, 5 feet 4 inches, weight, possibly 160 pounds, rank, genin, elemental affinities, kanton, futon, and raiton, summonings, strange turtles with cannons and ferocious bipedal alligators capable of taking down entire ships, has a sword that has a blood-red tint, and seems to be just getting used to it, genjutsu, skills unknown, taijutsu skills, unknown, but known to have crushed Gato's head with a move he called the curb stomp, ninjutsu skills. Rather limited information, but knows the summoning, the shadow clone, a wind jutsu, 2 fire jutsu and a lightning jutsu, all being high-ranked, can surround himself in flames that resemble a bird. Rank in Bingo Book, B. Note is the first genin to ever be put in the Bingo Book, he is a genin of Konoha. Naruto hearing this smiled and said oh yeah. Now you'll surely give me the hat old man. Sarutobi laughing said maybe when you're placed in there as a S rank, but until then no. Naruto pouting said mean. He shaking his head gained a serious look on his face and said old man Zabuza Momochi, and his daughter Haku Yuko Momochi are becoming Konoha shinobi, or I'll alert the Kunoichi population of a certain crystal ball, that can pierce through anything. Sarutobi hearing this paled and said you wouldn't do that to your grandfather would you? Naruto snorting said yes if my grandfather doesn't make my friend and her father Konoha shinobi, and don't even try to call my bluff because I've got clones already in the village with several of the more powerful Kunoichi gathered. Sarutobi hearing this sighed and said I knew letting Anko keep watch over you was a bad idea. Naruto making a victory pose said damn right it was old man, Ankone taught me everything she knows, along with Ibiki and Ii and Inochi-san. Kakashi giggled at the pale Sarutobi who asked she took you to the TI department? Naruto laughing said sure did claimed it would teach me to respect my elders, instead it showed them how to get a prisoner to talk in 5 seconds. Last time I checked Ibiki and Ii was still trying to beat my record. Sarutobi's sweat dropped at this, he then shaking his head, pulled out 2 headbands and tossed them to Haku and Zabuza. He said welcome to Konoha, an Umbu will lead the 2 of you to a home rented for you, Naruto, Kakashi stay there's something else you 2 need to know. Haku and Zabuza nodding left, of course after Haku gave Naruto a hug. Once they were gone Sarutobi sighed and said alright Naruto what I'm about to tell you Kakashi already knows, please hold all of your questions until I finish. Naruto nodding, didn't even see when Kakashi put his book away. Sarutobi then said Naruto you are not an orphan, you are Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, son of Namikaze Minato and Namikaze Uzumaki Kushina. You were born 13 years ago, when the Kyuubi attack, you have 2 older sisters, Kaione and Akane. You have an older brother named Link, a twin sister named Naruko and have a younger sister named Natsumi. Yes that means both Kushina and Minato are alive. While you were away, they came back to the village, and not only did they announce who you really are, but removed you from your apartment. No one knew that they survived not even me. I am telling you this, because they are in the other room and have heard this entire conversation. Naruto hearing this felt his mind go blank for about 7 seconds. It then kicked back on and he instantly felt a burning hot rage build up inside of him. He could feel Jinx pushing her chakra into her sword, he could also hear her roar about bastards. Naruto clenching his fist, tried very hard to keep a tight lid on his emotions. That plan shot to hell when the door opened and his supposed family stepped out with large happy smiles on their faces. He clenching his eyes shut, and gritting his teeth, was barely holding his rage down. But he knew Kakashi could feel his rage as the man was right behind him. Kakashi on the other hand wasn't even trying to keep his down, he unleashed the full brunt of his killing intent, and glared a hole into the family. Kushina smiling walked over to Naruto and said hello Naruto-kun, how have you been Sochi-kun? Hearing this woman say this, was it, Naruto snapped. All of his killing intent along with that of Jinx's flooded not only the tower, but the entire village. Every single living being was brought to its knees at the massive intent to kill. Sarutobi in the office was grabbing his heart trying to stop the massive heart attack he was getting from the powerful killing intent. Kakashi was trying to catch his breath. Kushina was down on the floor with wide eyes filled with fear. The rest of the Namikaze family was faring no better. Naruto opening his eyes revealed his menacing dark purple eyes. His eyes now had 6 tomo on the innermost ring, the pupil was also slitted. He glaring at Kushina with all of the hate he could muster said, "Don't you dare call me that." Kakashi shaking his head, reached over to Naruto and said, "Naruto, stop, you're going to kill the Sadame." Naruto capping his killing intent, stood from his chair. Walking to the door, he yanked it open. He turning to look at Kakashi said, "I'll be in the forest of death if you need me, Kakashi-sensei, tell Ankone this also." He then slamming the door shut, walked towards the forest of death. Sarutobi finally being able to breath said, "Oh dear sweat Kami, I've never felt such monstrous killing intent in my life." Kakashi getting to his feet said that was 10 times worse than the Kyuubi's, and he somehow managed to pull it all back in. Kakashi then ran to the trash can and puked his guts out. Minato helping a trembling Kushina to her feet asked what just happened. Sarutobi with an "are you stupid" look on his face was about to answer, when the door was kicked in and a glaring Anko appeared, with a kunai in each hand, and snakes hissing from her sleeves. She looking around asked, "Why did I just sense Naruto's killing intent, and what the hell got him so upset to unleash it?" Kakashi finished puking, wiped his mouth and pointed to the Namikaze family. Anko's eyes landing on them, narrowed her eyes. She instantly understood what had happened. She ignoring Kushina, who used to be a big sister figure to her, turned and asked, "Where did he go?" Kakashi said, "Forest of Death." Anko sighing said, "Oh great, now it's going to take me all day to find him. Damn brat knows the forest better than I do." She turning to Sarutobi said, "Old man, I'm going to need some money for ramen and dango." Sarutobi sweat drooping handed Anko a card and said, "That links to my personal account. Don't you dare bankrupt me, I still need to eat." Anko smiling too brightly said, "You bet old man, I'll buy you dango too." She was then gone in a swirl of leaves, leaving a cursing Sarutobi behind. Sarutobi shaking his head turned to the Namikaze family and with a cold glare said, "Now you can start explaining to Kakashi and myself why you left him in this village." Minato sitting Kushina down on the couch turned to him and said, "Well, you see, it's like this." When it was finished, Kakashi was looking at Minato and his family with eyes that said, "You're the most idiotic man in existence and I hope Naruto kills you, for his revenge." Sarutobi on the other hand was repeatedly banging his head on his desk. He ending his little rock concert he said, "Namikaze Minato, that is the most idiotic thing I have ever heard. You leave your son, the one you decided to seal the Kyuubi into, to the mercy of this village. All because you were terrified the Shinigami would come and kill your family for cheating it out of death. Not only that, but you trained said boy's twin sister to Kage level and then decide to come back after Kushina gives birth to another girl." Minato with a sheepish grin said, "Yup." They blinked hearing someone snort. All eyes turning to the door blinked spotting a bruised and dirt-covered Anko leaning into the door. She with eye swollen shut said, "Naruto is going to kill you, if any of you ever come near him." She then limping into the room followed by a concerned Kurenai, plopped down in the empty seat and asked Kakashi, "Did my little brat really become a fucking god?" Kakashi shrugging said, "I honestly had no idea. I was just grateful that he was alive. I forgot to ask him what happened to him." Sarutobi looking at Anko asked why. Anko groaning said, "Because like a baka I decided to entice him into a fight. I've never had such a thorough ass kicking in my entire life. I mean at first he was just using his fist and speed, but pretty soon I was dodging swipes from that sword of his, that sliced through 7 trees. I tried to block one of his swings with a kunai, and my hand nearly paid the price for such foolishness. He then started slinging out jutsu that I know for a fact are probably be ranked S rank, and if they aren't they should be. I mean he damned near drowned me when he summoned a massive tidal wave. I got burns in places that fire should never approach. I'm pretty sure my nipples are still swollen from how much lightning I got hit with. My leg is still trying to thaw out from when he nearly froze my legs." She then popping a joint in her shoulder said, "The craziest thing was that he kept vanishing and reappearing in front or behind me, before hitting me with an attack. Hell, I couldn't even sense him move. Like he wasn't even using chakra. He even made me witness many different things. He made me witness him making me beg, scream and moan for him to Kurenai put her hand over Anko's mouth and said, Anko, there are children in here. Anko, moving her eyes to Kurenai, licked her hand, forcing Kurenai to move it. Anko, looking Kakashi in the eyes, said, I'm just glad he doesn't have full control over his Jujutsu, or I'm pretty sure I'd be in a hospital right now, instead of him sleeping inside of his room at the TI department. Sarutobi, quirking an eyebrow, asked, you managed to defeat him? Anko, snorting, said, no, he damn, after stomping a mud hole into me, and making me feel like shit, decided to sleep off his extreme anger. Damn brat fell asleep standing in front of me. Kakashi, giggling, said, be lucky he didn't curve stomp you, like he did the Uchiha brat. Sarutobi then said, so that's why he was limping? Kakashi, shaking his head, said, oh no, he's limping because he decided to try and force himself on Haku. Naruto broke the boy's leg in 6 different places, then kicked the boy in the balls so hard, he actually lifted into the air a little. Haku then made sure the little shit wouldn't be having any children by sterilizing him. Zabuza was oh so close to ending the boy's life. Sarutobi crossed his legs and asked, what about the Haruno? Kakashi, giggling, said, Naruto got tired up putting up with her and not only broke her arm in 9 different places, but then shattered her jaw with a punch. So I think he was holding back on you, Anko, or you'd be in a coma or worse right now. Anko, groaning, said, I believe it. Sarutobi was about to say something when his front door was kicked open by 3 kids, all looking like mini Narutos. Hell, they even had some orange on them. Konohamaru, spotting Anko, asked, Ankone, where's boss? And don't even try to fool us by saying that he isn't in the village because we felt his killing intent. Sarutobi, hearing this, blinked and asked, how is it that you 3 know what killing intent is? Moegi, bowing to him, said, Naruto Nii has been training us after school. He introduced us to killing intent so that we wouldn't freeze up if we ever came across it. He also started us on the tree climbing exercise along with making sure we understood a shinobi's greatest tool. Kakashi, hearing this, blinked and asked, what is a shinobi's greatest tool? Udon, pushing up his glasses, said, a shinobi's greatest tool is deception. Kurenai blinked, asked, he told you this? All 3 kids, smiling, said, boss/big brother told us that. Kakashi said something like, look underneath the underneath, and that hiding your skills and powers from within the shadows was one way to deceive the enemy. Kakashi, nodding sagely, said, that is definitely something I would say to Naruto. Konohamaru, deadpanning, said, boss also said you told him something about Hyuga's always having a big chest and the quiet ones being the loudest in bed. Kakashi, hearing this, gained wide eyes and paled as the temperature in the room dropped drastically. Anko, somehow on her feet with a powerful glare in her eyes, cracked her knuckles and with a sickly sweet smile on her face asked Kakashi, Baka, you'd better not be trying to corrupt my innocent, darling little Naruto. Kakashi quickly said, Hokage-sama, let him read his version of Aika. Sarutobi, hearing this, gulped as Anko and Kurenai were now both giving him a powerful glare. He then witnessed Kakashi vanish in a poof of smoke. He nearly cried when Konohamaru said, if Aika is that orange book the old man reads all the time, then he let me read it too. Moegi, hearing this, said, hey Kono, let's go find big brother. Udon, somehow knowing that the Sadame was about to be beaten, said, yes, let's go find boss. The 3 kids then left, ignoring the pleading eyes of Sarutobi as Kushina, Kaione, Akane, Anko, Kurenai and the purple-haired Umbu slowly descended upon him. Minato, Link, Kakashi, Naruto, and a curious Natsumi wisely left the room. Later in the day, Naruto could be seen sitting on the stool in his favorite food place in the village. Jinx was attached to his back, as he stirred his ramen with his chopsticks, not paying attention to much around him. He was deep in thought, trying to process what he had learned. He was also slightly happy that he had unlocked more power of the Kyosugen. He could now predict movement like the Sharingan, and had unlocked the animal path of the Rinnegan. Sighing, he slipped a few noodles into his mouth. Just as he felt someone sit beside him, moving his eyes to his left, he let a small smile appear on his face, spotting Kakashi. Kakashi, ordering a bowl of ramen, said, alright Naruto, it's time for that explanation I never got. Naruto, smirking, said, not until the others arrive. Kakashi, quirking an eyebrow, blinked when Anko, Ibiki, Inochi, Ino, Zabuza, Haku, Konohamaru, Moegi, Udon, Kurenai, Hinata, Guy, Rock Lee, Niji, Kiba, Shino, Iruka, Shikamaru, Chuji, Tenten, Asuma, Uego, Hay-8 and surprisingly a perfectly fine Sarutobi. Once everyone was there, Naruto said, I am Chan, close up the stand, this is something you're gonna wanna hear. I am nodding, closed the shop along with Tucci. Once everyone was seated, Naruto crossed his arms and said, what I'm about to tell you is 100% true, no one interrupt me until I'm finished and then I'll be glad to answer any questions. Now what Kakashi, Zabuza and Haku most likely know that you guys don't is that during Team 7's mission, I was technically drowned by Uchiha Sasuke. During this time I was confronted by 3 gorgeous women, the first being the goddess of death herself Tsubasa, next was the mother of the sage of 6 paths, Akatsuki Kaguya. Then there was Kami or the goddess of my summons, the Pokemon, Arceus. I was woken up by Tsubasa using a syringe full of Kaguya's blood, that with the help of divine forces, expunged all human DNA inside of me, and transplanted her DNA inside of me, this making me Otsutsuki Naruto. I was also blessed with the powers of a few of Kami's very powerful children. Finally Tsubasa informed me that I was now a member of the Eternal Council of Deities. I did this by becoming the god of carnage, technology and destruction. Sadly she had to remove Jinx to do so, and for those of you who don't know, Jinx is the true name of the Kyuubi. Happily Jinx was able to be sealed inside of my new sword, which used to be Zabuza's sword. I gained my Dojutsu from Kaguya, who is my mom now. It's the 4th great Dojutsu, that has all of the powers of the other 3, it's fully evolved from has 36 tomo, and 6 rings. So far I only have 3 rings and 6 tomo, this gives me the abilities of the Byakugan, and recently unlocked the predicting ability of the Sharingan, and one of the 6 paths of the Rinnegan. The Rinnegan by the way gives me full access to all elemental affinities. Everyone hearing this had wide eyes. He with a smile on his face asked any questions? Ino shooting her hand into the air asked what are Pokemon, and what powers did you get from them? Naruto laughing and sipping some of his ramen said Pokemon are very intelligent beings from a distant dimension governed by Kami. They come in all shapes and sizes, and their power levels range from that of an academy student, to that of a tailed beast. Most of the ones that could rival a tailed beast in power are legendary or rare. I will tell you the powers I got from them. First let me inform you that Kami-chan gave me the powers of only legendaries. The first of said legendaries was the ghost/dragon ruler of the alternate dimension of the Pokemon dimension. Her name is Giratina, and she has 2 forms. I think Kami-chan called her a rebellious princess or something. When I tap into her power I can create rifts in the world, and teleport to a pocket dimension. I can also seal or trap things inside of said pocket dimension. Then we have the living embodiment of fire molters who can create flames so hot, they put the flames of the sun to shame. Kakashi, Zabuza, Haku, Anko and Wave have already witnessed me use her power. Then there's her Arctic sister, Articuno, who could create blizzard so strong it could freeze a polar bear. Anko has had the pleasure of witnessing me using her power. Then we have Kyogre who can create entire oceans with just a swing of one of her mighty fins. With her power I can create entire aquatic ecosystems. And if I tapped into her primal powers, flood the world. There's Mutuo, who's very powerful, yet equally as awkward. She has power over the mind, and can crush a being's mind with a simple though. With her power I can speak with my mind, move objects using telekinesis, crush someone's mind, and most likely turn someone into my living breathing puppet. Kakashi, Zabuza and Haku witnessed me use a little of her power. Lastly is Zekrom, who according to Kami is the Pokemon version of the goddess of storms. She has lightning in her power and from what I've read from her profile under the summoning contract can bring entire mountains down with a single lightning bolt. Everyone hearing this paled, well everyone besides Konohamaru, Moegi and Udon, who were looking at Naruto with stars in their eyes. Haku asked if you're part of the Eternal Deity Council, does that make you the youngest member? Naruto nodding said yes, the eldest being Izanagi and Izanami, though I wouldn't be foolish enough to call Izanami-sama old to her face. Zabuza ignoring this asked are you going to use the symbol the people of Wave made as your official symbol? Naruto shrugging said I don't see why not for now. Anko asked are any of your summons big enough to, I don't know, stop a raging Bijou? Naruto sighing said size really doesn't matter when it comes to the Pokemon, but including Kami herself, 18. Everyone hearing this blinked. Kurenai asked you said size doesn't matter, why not? Naruto smiling at her making her gain a small blush said leave it to the Genjutsu mistress to hear that. Mutuo can crush anything with her mind, including Konoha if she wants. Articuno can freeze entire oceans if so much as thinks about it. Darkrai can trap you in a never-ending nightmare if she wants. Suakun can blast you with purified high-pressure chilled water stream if she wanted to, Hell Molters could melt you if you pissed her off, and the same could be said for any Pokemon. Asuma hearing this asked how many Pokemon are there? Naruto blinking said 720. Everyone gasped hearing this and shouted that many? Naruto nodding said yes. Sarutobi asked do you want me to inform the council of any of this? Naruto snorting said you can tell them all of this for all I care, there's not a thing they can do about it. Inochi groaning said damn this is going to cause one long meeting. Naruto laughed at this. I am then asked are you going to let your teammates know this? Naruto snorting said no chance in hell. Kiba laughing asked are you afraid the Uchiha will demand that you make him a god? Naruto laughing said no I'd rather make out with Akumaru than do that, I'm afraid what the pink howler monkey is going to do once she finds out. Akumaru hearing this barked and growled. Kiba laughing said that's his point Akumaru. Hayate coughing a little asked are you going to let your god status go to your head? Naruto snorting said hell no, I'm still train until I drop, rest a little, get up and train even more, just because I become a god, doesn't mean I'm going to let my skills drop. Guy gaining flames in his eyes said Yash. Naruto-kun's flames of youth burn brightly, I must run 1,000 laps around Konoha on my hands until I catch up to him. Lee shooting up shouted Naruto-kun you are now my eternal rival. Naruto who had been sipping some more of his ramen, made the mistake of asking I'm sorry did you say something? Lee hearing this gained unholy flames in his eyes along with Guy. Both men then shouted curse you and your hip attitude my eternal rival. Naruto blinking at this, turned to everyone else and asked what the hell just happened? Kakashi patting Naruto on his back said the other curse of being so badass Naruto, weirdos declaring you as their eternal rival and always challenging you to even weirder contest. Yuego asked do you need help with your kenjutsu training? Naruto rolling his eyes said I was going to ask you, hey 8 or no brows about helping me later, to get Jinxnei to stop nagging me. Shikamaru hearing this smiled and said now you see my plight. Naruto snorting said no, Shika, women aren't troublesome, older sisters are troublesome, I mean look at me I have 8 of them, and 6 of them are gods, 1 is a demon, and the last is Anko. Anko hearing this said hey. Naruto waving his hand said don't try to front, we all know that out of 8 of my sister you're the most sane, and that's pushing it. Anko pouted at this, while everyone else giggled. Konohamaru asked boss will you be teaching us any awesome jutsu? Naruto looking at him said that depends on if you 3 can stay out of trouble, pay attention to Irika's lectures, what elemental affinities you have, and if you 3 can climb trees using just your feet yet. Irika hearing this gained wide eyes and asked it was you who taught them how the tree climbing exercise. Naruto turning to him nodded and said yeah I taught it to them, to get them to stop bugging me. Irika sweat dropping hearing this said well they can climb trees using only their feet. Shino pushing up his shades asked are there any bug-like Pokemon? Naruto smiling at Shino said Shino my comrade there's an entire type dedicated to bugs, hell there's even a legendary bug Pokemon. Shino actually smiled hearing this. Kakashi then asked are you going to keep putting Sasuke and Sakura in their place? Naruto finishing his ramen said is the old man a pervert? Sarutobi choking on his ramen, glared at Naruto, when Yuego, Kurenai, and Anko all said he sure is. Naruto and the others laughed at this. Niji then asked what are you going to do about the Namikaze family? Naruto gaining a passive face said nothing as I'm no longer part of that family, I am Otsutsuki Naruto. He then turning to Sarutobi said by the way I'm gonna need my stuff put back in my apartment. Sarutobi nodding said I'll hire a genin team to do so. Naruto snorting said fine just don't hire Team 7 to do so, or a certain secret will be told to a few certain high-ranked Kunoichi of the village. Sarutobi blanching said I wasn't even considering hiring Team 7 for the mission, in fact Team 10 will be doing the mission tomorrow morning. Naruto nodding said good, until then I'll be sleeping at the tower, or maybe in one of the interrogation rooms. Ibiki hearing this smiled and said speaking of, I finally beat your record brat. Naruto hearing this quirked an eyebrow and asked really by how much? Anko smirking said 1 second. Naruto laughed at this, and Ibiki gained a little black cloud over his head. Naruto shaking his head, stood to his feet and put his hand over his mouth to stop the yawn he felt coming. Shaking his head he said alright people, it's getting late so I'll see you party people later. He then walked out the ramen stand. The others finishing their ramen and paying up, all went their separate ways, some thinking about a certain blonde, others wondering how things was going to change from here. The next morning, Naruto could be seen walking towards Training Ground 7, intent on getting some training in. Of course he was heading there very early, hell the sun had barely even poked its head out. He arriving at his location, took off his shirt and jacket, placing them on one of the logs, he popped his muscles and said I'll start with some push-ups and crunches, then I'll do some sprints. I'll work on my hand sign speed while doing the sprints and push-ups, gotta get them down to 1, so the team can't copy any of my jutsu when he does unlock the Sharingan. He then got to work, and before long 2 hours had passed and it was now 6. He standing up said Lee I know you're there so let's spar for a while until it's time for you to meet your team. Lee appearing said Yash. I accept your challenge Naruto-kun, I will give it my all. Naruto rolling his eyes said yeah whatever let's just go. He and Lee then vanished and an intense spar was soon rocking the training ground. When Sakura appeared an hour later, she was now perfectly fine. Her eyes widened spotting the damage done to the training ground, and 2 people locked hands inside a deep hole near the center. She in her delusional mind thinking that this was Sasuke finally putting Naruto Baka in his place ran over to the hole and gained wide eyes. Naruto could be seen standing there, sweat dripping down his body, his Kyosugen activated and locked on Lee who was equally sweaty in trying to punch Naruto. Naruto gritting his teeth said damn Lee, you're really making me sweat. Lee smiling said as are you Naruto-kun, exactly as I expected from my eternal rival. Naruto then started to push more chakra into his body, feeling Lee doing the same. Sakura was blasted away by the immense chakra both boys were putting out. Naruto's being a dark red, almost the color of blood, while Lee's was the normal blue. Sasuke who arrived seconds after Sakura was scowling at this, not believing what the dobe was doing. Kakashi then appearing, blinked spotting Naruto and Lee not too far from him. He wasn't surprised when Guy and his genin appeared. Guy spotting Naruto and Lee said Yash. These two are stroking their flames of youth, look at how intense Naruto-kun's eyes are. Niji rolling his eyes said Guy-sensei stop speaking of the flames of youth. Tenten wasn't saying a word, because she was too busy drooling at Naruto's muscled upper body. Kakashi realizing that he needed to break this little spar up said yo Naruto, the fangirls are coming. Naruto hearing this quickly separated himself from Lee, appeared behind Kakashi and asked where are those cursed beings coming from? Kakashi I smiling said I was just kidding Naruto, because if they were really coming I'd already be gone, now come on let's go get a D-rank mission. Naruto moving from behind Kakashi placed his hands behind his head and said sure Kakashi-sensei, but we'd better not be chasing Tora again. Kakashi now reading his book said we're not. He then walked out of Training Ground 7, Naruto right beside him, followed by an scowling Sasuke, and a angry Sakura. 4 days later and Naruto was chasing Konohamaru, Moegi and Udon, as he was helping the 3 with their speed, by playing a game of ninja with them. Sakura had said something rude, but Naruto had pulled a Kakashi on her, making her very upset. Anyway the 3 kids had just turned the corner when the sound of something colliding with something else could be heard. He then heard Konohamaru say ow that hurt. Moving around the corner, his eyes narrowed spotting some boy from Suna, with a black hood on that had cat ears holding Konohamaru up by his long blue scarf. This boy had purple lines on his face that strangely looked like makeup. Standing behind him with a bored look on her face was a blonde-haired girl, with a huge fan on her back. The makeup boy growling said that hurt you little twerp. The girl said put him down Kankuro, we don't have time for this. Kankuro said don't worry Temari I'm just going to teach the little brat a lesson. Temari sighing said whatever just don't get me in trouble. Kankuro smirking at this lifted his fist to hit Konohamaru when he felt the edge of a sharp blade be pressed to his throat. He then heard someone growl out I suggest you put my little brother down before I slit your throat Sanin. Kankuro dropping Konohamaru, blinked and the boy stuck his tongue out at him and said boss just told you punk. Kankuro hearing this felt his blood boil, but before he could do anything he heard Temari say Kankuro you idiot, I told you not to do anything stupid. But you didn't want to listen and now the fucking god of carnage has his sword at not only your throat but mine's too. Kankuro hearing this slowly turned his head and blanched spotting the Kyosugen staring at him. Naruto removing his sword from Kankuro's throat said you should listen to your pretty older sister from now on Catman, otherwise your blood will spill onto the streets of Konoha. Naruto turning his head to the tree said Ichibi no Gaara I know that you're in that tree, come out now and I won't show you just why a tanuki should never anger a dragon. Both San siblings' eyes widened when Gaara appeared, bowed low in front of Naruto. Gaara said, "Forgive me my lord, I had no idea or intention to anger you. My idiot teammate also apologizes for getting in the way of your game with your little brother." Naruto blinking said, "Yeah, whatever." He then turning to Konohamaru said, "Alright Kono, because of your failure at not being aware of your surroundings, the three of you now have to play a game of dodge with Anko." After listening to Irika's lecture about awareness, all three kids groaned hearing this, and walked towards the academy. Naruto, walking behind them to make sure they got the academy, turned to the San siblings and said, "I look forward to meeting you three in the Chunin exams. Until then, Temari of the desert, Kankuro of the puppets, and Gaara of the desert." He then walked around the corner, missing the wide eyes of Kankuro, the smile on Gaara's face, and the small blush on Temari's face. He, arriving at the bridge for his team meeting, wasn't surprised to find Sakura there pestering Sasuke for a date, while said boy brooded. Naruto, sitting down on the rails of said bridge, pulled out Jinx and started to polish her, ignoring the now screeching Sakura. The girl never shut her yap, and honestly Naruto wanted to curb stomp her, but Kakashi had made him promise not to do so unless she did something really stupid. Sasuke, on the other hand, he had free rein with. He had already kicked the arrogant prick's ass 6 times, and 5 of those times he was half asleep. He, sensing Kakashi arrive, stood up and put Jinx over his shoulder. Kakashi, appearing in a swirl of leaves, looked up from his book and smiled, spotting Naruto and the other two. He, pulling out 3 sheets of paper, handed it to them and said, "I have put you 3 in the Chunin exams. Meet at room 301 if you want to take the exam. Even if you don't, I'm proud of you guys." He then vanished. Naruto, snorting at this, decided that he would spend some time with Yuigo, or maybe Kurenai. Vanishing in a small blizzard, he appeared in Training Ground 8. Spotting Kiba, Shino, and Hinata walking away, he wondered where Kurenai was. He, closing his eyes, tapped into his psychic powers. Reaching out with his mind, he blinked, finding Kurenai's mind not far away, trying to push some emotional pain away. Appearing beside her, he sat down on the log and asked, "What's wrong, Kurenai-sensei?" Kurenai, turning to him, tried to wipe the tears from her eyes and said, "Nothing's wrong." Naruto, frowning, gently grabbed her hand and said, "You know I hate it when you lie to me." Kurenai, hearing this, sighed and said, "I was going to tell Asuma how I felt about him, when I walked in on him making out with Haruno Mibiki." Naruto, scowling, said, "It broke your heart, didn't it?" She, turning away, said, "Yes, my heart feels like it's breaking into a million different pieces." Naruto, sighing, said, "You can lean on my shoulder to cry if you want." Kurenai, shaking her head, said, "No, I need to be a strong Kunoichi." Naruto, rolling his eyes, said, "Bullshit, you need to let your emotions out, or they'll just boil over at the most unfortunate time, hence why Ankone and myself always pick fights with each other, letting us relieve any pent-up emotions we may have." Kurenai, hearing this, giggled and said, "Is that why she's been covered in bruises for the past week?" Naruto, snorting, said, "She's not the only one with bruises." He, lifting up his shirt, revealed his chiseled upper body, a large bluish bruise on the center of his chest, along with a small bruise over his right rib. She, gasping, asked, "How many bruises do you have?" Naruto, laughing, said, "Those are the only 2, because I've been working on my regenerative powers. It seems as though I can heal myself with ease as long as it's within 5 minutes from my last healing. Haku-chan has a theory that since I'm the god of carnage, then if I slaughter an army of something like that, then maybe I'll heal even faster." Kurenai, hearing this, sighed and asked, "Am I pretty, Naruto?" Naruto blinked, hearing this, and said, "Kurenai-sensei, you're one of the most gorgeous women I have ever seen. Not only are you intelligent, but you're a dedicated Jonin-sensei, and not afraid to put a pervert in their place. You have a beauty that most people would kill to have, yet you don't have a bit of arrogance inside of you. Your ruby red eyes sparkle in the light, yet when they need to be, can be like ice-cold lakes. Your flawless alabaster skin, that sometimes twinkles in the light, your long wavy black hair, that could captivate the entire world." He didn't know it, but his sincere words was causing a huge blush to appear on Kurenai's face. He, turning to her, noticed the blush but chose to ignore it. He, smiling, asked, "You want to hear a song I've been working on, Kurenai-sensei?" She, shaking her blush away, said, "Sure, just as long as it's not perverted." He, smiling, reached into his pocket and pulled out his black Gibson guitar. He, then getting it ready, took a deep breath and said, "I hope you enjoy this song, Kurenai-sensei. It's called Walk on Water or Drown, by Mayday Parade. I don't own Well, this hurts me more than I can stand to say in just one sitting. You left the room so I can pray, so I'll pace the halls to see if I could find a hole in something or maybe places to escape. Oh, but everybody knows this is the part of breaking down in anybody's arms. I am reaching down and hoping this one's ours. God, please, please let this stay. And then I fell into pieces, and she fell into Macying. Play this song. It's been too long since I've heard you sing. You got here just in time to let me know I was worth savage. It's nothing more than for the heart too proud to breathe, but I'm too scared to say the things worth saying. Who knew this trip would be this hard? As I'm looking to the sky to count the stars, I wonder if you see them where you are. I'm down on both my knees and pray tomorrow brings no pain. And then I fell into pieces, and she fell into Macying. Play me a song. It's been too long since I've heard you sing to me. And yeah, we all fall to pieces, but at least you fell to me. But this is a wrong night, so tell me good night and let it go. I stayed here and you just pray my head would clear and I'd stay safe. The pieces left, the love had changed, just saved everything. Oh, and everybody knows this is the part of breaking down in anybody's arms. I am reaching down and hoping this one's ours. God, please let this stay. And then I fell into pieces and she fell into Macying. Play me a song. It's been too long since I've heard you sing. And then I fell into pieces and she fell into Macying. Play me a song. It's been too long since I've heard you sing. And yeah, we all fall to pieces, but at least you fell to me. But this is a wrong night. Tell me good night and let it go. Oh. Naruto ending the song, blinked, spotting not only Kunoichi, but Anko, Yuigo, Ino, Hinata, Moegi, Iam, Haku, and Tenten all swooning over him. He sweat dropping said, okay, maybe I overdid it. Ino then squealed very loudly and tried to glomp him. He switching with a random log said, on that note I'll be taking my leave, exit stage left. He then ran for his life, a group of swooning females behind him, one of them being a kunai flicking Anko. He finally arriving at his apartment, locked the doors, shut the windows, and placed a few chakra seals to keep people out. Sighing in relief, he took off his shirt, and placed Jinx against his wall. Heading towards the kitchen, he rolled his eyes spotting the ramen bowl from Namikaze's kushina. He tossing it into the trash, reached into his fridge and pulled out a carton of orange juice, 3 eggs, a thick piece of bacon, and some carrots. He fixing himself a small dinner, simply ate his meal. Once done eating, he walked into his bathroom, taking off the rest of his clothes. He climbed into the hot shower, washing the dirt and grime off. He closed his eyes and let the hot water pour down on his platinum blonde hair. Once done with his shower, he turned it off. Walking into his bedroom, he opening his bedroom dresser slipped on a pair of purple Carnage boxers. He then walked over to his desk, opening a drawer he pulled out a small tube, opening it he willed the shiny substance out of the tube and made it dance a little. He smiling said, it seems as my nanobots are forming rather nicely, soon they will be complete and I'll be bringing new technology to the world. He putting the nanobots back into the tube, corked it and put it back into the drawer. He then yawning said it's time to get some sleep. He turning off the lights, crawled into his bed. The next morning he would roll over and nuzzle his face into the soft warm pillow his face was buried in. He then heard someone moan. His mind instantly kicked started, as pillows weren't warm, nor did they moan. Back flipping out of his bed, he got in a stance ready to kill the intruder. He sweat dropped spotting Kunoichi laying in his bed, dressed in black lace matching pair of bra and panties. Shaking his head, he walked into his bathroom and sweat dropped even more spotting Anko, and Yuigo knocked out in his bathtub snuggled up to each other. Shaking his head he brushed his teeth and took a piss. Walking back into his bedroom he got dressed. He then walking into his kitchen, nearly face-palmed spotting Ino, Hinata, Tenten and Iam all passed out on the floor surrounding his kitchen table. Shaking his head he tiptoed to his fridge and opened it. Grabbing a toaster pastry, he grabbed Jinx and placed her on his back. He was about to walk out his door when he remembered his new invention to pass time and to help ignored the pink-haired banshee. Creeping into his room, he gently slid open his drawer and pulled out an iPod with black headphones. Putting it into his pocket, he then walked outside of his apartment, not even wanting to know how all 7 females managed to get into his locked and sealed apartment. He arriving at the academy, rolled his eyes seeing no one there yet. Walking to the academy wall, he put the headphones in his ears, and turned to iPod on. Picking one of his recorded songs, he started to hum. You have no idea how unproductive it is to fall in and out of you as often as I do. Lately I've been feeling gray, but today I won't wind up next to you. His was the day the Chunin exams began, and Naruto showed the world why he was the god of carnage, technology and destruction. Naruto waking up 3 hours later grumbled about not getting enough sleep. He silently getting out of the bed, decided maybe it's time he decided on his sacred animal. He closing his eyes knew that whatever it was needed to incorporate all 3 of his districts. He then blinked feeling Mira nuzzle his arm. Turning to her he asked, do you have any idea for my sacred animal? Mira wagging her tail barked and licked his hand. He blinking said, you think we should go the lab first? Mira barked again. Naruto standing up walked over to the nearest wall. Placing his right hand on the wall he said, invoke thy name Mitarashi, Akatsuki, and Jinx. Mira barked happily as the wall slid open silently to reveal a narrow staircase that lead only God knows where. Naruto entering the tunnel followed it to his secret lab. He closing up the wall after Mira had come inside said, I invoke thy name Akatsuki Naruto god of technology. Like a switch was flipped, all of the lights turned on revealing a lab like nothing anyone had ever seen. Brand new shiny metal could be seen covering a lot of the tables. Buzz saws, lasers, swords, scrubs, all of it could be seen. There was even a tank that looked big enough to fit a person inside of it. Naruto ignoring all of this walked over to his computer and sat down in the chair, feeling Mira sit down beside him in the other chair. Turning it on, he started to scroll through the many different animals listening to hear if Mira found what she was looking for. Mira spotting what she had in mind started to bark really loudly. Naruto looking at the screen blinked reading Tyrant Rum. The despot Pokemon abilities are Strong Jaw and the hidden one is Rock Head. Is part of the dragon group but is mainly classified as a rock because it coming from a fossil and looking like a T-Rex, thanks to its gargantuan jaws, which could shred thick metal plates as if they were paper. It was invincible in the ancient Pokemon world it once inhabited. It also behaved like a king. It's 8 feet and 2 inches tall, and weighs 595, 2 pounds. He looking at this Pokemon said, good sweet Kamine, this Pokemon looks like it could eat half of Konoha and still be hungry. He then started to laugh as he said, it's perfect. He then stopping his insane laughter, got down on his knees and said, Kamiheim, please send me a terrible ill or dying Tyrant Rum, as I do not wish to transform a healthy one into my sacred animal. He smiled when he heard a loud poof of smoke. Getting off of his knees he felt his eyes soften spotting the poor Tyrant Rum that looked to be on its last leg. He using his telekinesis powers floated the poor animal into the tank. He then filling it with a dark green liquid said that should put the poor girl to sleep. He then walking into a closet, changed out of his normal clothes. He reappearing was now dressed in a white lab coat, a white button-up shirt, white gloves, a pocket protector on the front of said shirt. He had on black pants, with flat black shoes. On his face framing his eyes was a pair of black glasses. His hair was even slicked back with a single bang falling over his face. He walking over to a door with a very heavy lock on it, pulled out his key and opened the door. It opening revealed millions of projects from human and animal fusions, to tube of black liquid that was held in a diamond shell. He walking over to a tube containing more of the red goop, along with a metallic exoskeleton. He floating them into the room, grabbed a pair of glowing robotic red eyes. He then grabbing a flamethrower, and a tube of nanobots walked back into his lab shutting the door behind him. He walking over to the tank opened up many of the slots on the tank, opening the tube of red gunk and the nanobots he poured them into 2 of the slots. Finding the largest slot he put the exoskeleton in this one. He then put the eyes and flamethrower in another slot. Shutting the slots, he walked over to the computer connected to the tank. He was about to turn it on, when Mira whines. Turning to her he blinked spotting her carrying a large purple stone known as vibranium. He taking the stone asked, you want me to add some vibranium to the mix? Mira barking wagged her tail yes. He shrugging his shoulder walked over to the slots again and opened one of them. Putting the vibranium inside of it, he closed it and sat down in his seat in front of the computer. He pressing a few buttons was skimming through all of the readings and either canceling programs or activating them. He then typing in a few things said, that's the last program, now let's see how long this takes. He pressing enter blinked and the screen said integration and hardwiring will take 3 hours, the rest will take a day, process should be done within 27 hours. Naruto sighed hearing this and said, oh well, guess I'll go back to the room now and go back to sleep. He changing back into his clothes tossed Mira a ham bone and said, come on Mira-chan, we have a nap waiting for us. Mira trotting behind Naruto was wagging her tail, happy to have her treat from her master. The next day Naruto was walking with his team, behind Irika towards the hall where the other genin were waiting. Entering it, he wasn't surprised to find all of the teams had managed to survive the exam. This meant that he was gonna have to battle in a preliminary. He, ignoring Sarutobi give a speech about what the true purpose was about, was letting his eyes roam over Temari's body. He was mainly shamelessly staring at her ass. Temari, somehow feeling this, felt her cheeks heat up as she turned in a different direction. Naruto's eyes, then landing on Kankuro, looked the puppet boy dead in the eyes and made a throat-slashing motion. He then blinked when Kabuto, Karui, and Omoi all surrendered, one claiming that he was out of chakra, the other two having legitimate injuries. He then, hearing Sakura and Duck King argue, turned to the two of them and hissed, "Sakura, if the emo wants to battle, then let him battle." Sakura, hearing this, was about to protest again when both Naruto and Sasuke glared at her. She, shrinking, nodded. The teams were then taken up to the balcony. Naruto, being bored, decided to listen to some music. Putting his headphones in, he started jamming to the blaring music in his iPod. He then stopped when he spotted a flash of green. Looking up, he sighed, spotting Gaara and Lee battling. He then said, "Gaara, you are not allowed to kill or cripple Lee, you are to win without taking away his shinobi career, understood?" Gaara, blocking one of Lee's kicks, said, "Understood, Naruto-sama." Naruto, understanding that Gaara was on board, tapped into his demonic chakra and said, "Shikaku, you are not to get involved in this match, because if you do I will remove you from Gaara and seal you in a woman's adult toy, while restricting your powers." Gaara, gulping, said, "Mother says she understands and will not fail you." Naruto, nodding, put his headphones back in. About 30 minutes later, and Ino nudged him. He, blinking, looked up at the screen. He scowled, spotting that he was up against Link Namikaze. He, removing his headphones, he handed them to Ino and walked down to the floor. He, glaring at his former elder brother, took in his features. Link was tall, at 6 feet flat, he had long blonde hair, that was covered up by a black cap. Link's eyes were dark blue, and cold. He wasn't overly muscular, but had muscle tone. He was dressed in a black shirt that was halfway buttoned up, revealing his bare upper torso. He had on dark gray pants that were folded up at the bottom, not to cover his thick black leather boots. Sitting on his back was a short sword. Hayate, standing between the two boys, knew that this wasn't going to end well for Link. He then asked, "Are both fighters ready?" Naruto, unsheathing Jinx, said, "I am." Link, bringing his own blade in front of him, said, "Ready." Hayate then cried out, "Begin." As soon as the words left his mouth, Naruto shot forward, his feet not even touching the ground. Link, barely brining his sword up in time, grunted as the blow was heavy. Link, then trying to counter, blinked when he hit nothing but air. Naruto, appearing in the air, was twirling Jinx like a kunai. He, looking at Link with murderous eyes, slammed back down on Link's blade again, causing the ground to crack under the force of said blow. Link, trying to counter again, barely dodged a fist to his stomach. He, getting up, rushed towards Naruto, planning on taking it to Naruto. Imagine his surprise when he couldn't land a single blow on Naruto. Naruto, vanishing, appeared on the statue. He, with a smile on his face, said, "You're gonna die today, fool. Jinx is roaring to taste your blood and rip into your flesh." He then, revealing his very sharp teeth, said, "I'm obliged to give it to her." He, lifting Jinx up, said, "Death, the never-ending fate, the little black string that ties all living beings together, anger, the uncaged animal's wrath, the base to every murder, revenge, the ambition of those seeking to kill all that betrayed them, the most petty feeling, kill, what most mortals do at least once, to act upon the most primal instinct, nothingness, the feeling of not existing, the abyss inside of the human soul, enigma, the unknown, what lurks in the dark, or what lies beneath, sacred, the most precious thing, what you hold dear to your heart, sacrifice, to willingly give your life for a cause, the willingness to die for what you believe in. I invoke thy name, release your might upon the mortal world, fear her, Jinx." Everyone gasped and a monstrous screech could be heard and all of the lights went off. When they came back on, everyone paled, spotting Naruto in a suit of armor belonged to a bipedal fox, with 9 bony flowing tails. In his right hand was the massive scythe from the forest, but the difference was that the blade was shrouded in a thick mist of darkness. Naruto, lifting the scythe up, said, "Oh yeah, today you die, and neither your precious father or mother will be able to save you, ha 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 ha." He finished his statement with the most spine-tingling laugh. He then launched forward and Link barely blocked with his own sword, but let out a scream of pain, when 3 long slashes appeared on his back. Naruto, seeing this, started to attack relentlessly. Link blocking each time was gaining more and more wounds, some even cutting very deeply. He could also feel his sword starting to wear down. Link jumping back, pulled out a very familiar kunai to many of the ones watching. He snorting said, "I'm gonna defeat you and make you return to the family." Naruto hearing this and spotting the kunai decided to tap into Giratina's powers. He feeling space distorting around him said, "That's a nice dream, too bad I'm gonna turn you into sushi before you even get the chance." Naruto then literally vanished, just as Link threw his kunai, shocking everyone. The scythe appearing directly behind Link, slashed him on his back. Link screaming in pure pain dropped to one knee and tried to get up, only to be kicked square in the jaw by a floating foot. This continued to happen for quite some time. Anko watching on the side turned to Kakashi and said, "That's what I was talking about, I can't even sense his chakra signature." Kakashi with his Sharingan out said, "I can't trace his movements or even see him, it's almost like he's not even in this plane of existence anymore." Kurenai getting closer asked, "Is this the power of the rebellious princess?" Kakashi nodding his head said it could only be her power. Samui off to the side watching this could only think, "Isama, you have drawn the ire of a god, he's moving so fast, not even the infamous flying thunder god Jutsu can keep up with him." Temari seeing this was thinking, "Oh dear sweet Kami, there's no way in hell I'm participating in the invasion with him helping Konoha." Sarutobi was thinking, Naruto is actually trying to kill Link. The worst part is that if I try to stop this battle, Naruto will most likely go on a killing spree that would make Kyuubi's attack look tame. Minato was thinking, he's trying to kill Link, why would he do that, they're siblings and should be getting along. Kushina was thinking, this isn't good, Link is going to be killed all because I decided to follow Minato Baka like a stupid fangirl. Orochimaru was trying not to lick his lips as he thought, I think I just found another target for my little seal. Naruto then appearing in front of Link, stabbed both of his hands into the boy's stomach. Everyone gained wide eyes when Link vanished in a poof of smoke to reveal Link coming down from the ceiling with orange eyes, with large black bars going horizontal for pupils. A slight red tint could be seen around his eyes. This caused everyone to gasp as Link was in the fabled sage mode. He stabbing Naruto's shoulder gained wide eyes when Naruto vanished in a pool of black liquid. He sensing something coming down from above, rolled to the right, just in time to avoid being crushed by a giant foot. He looking up gasped, spotting a beast unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. It looked like a T-Rex, but with metallic enhancements, along with a thick red goop covering most of its body. Naruto standing on the beast's nose smiled and said, "Just in time, my oh so precious Grimlock. Now then, show this fool just who he is messing with." Grimlock roaring started to attack Link, who was hard-pressed to dodge the monster's attacks. Things got worse when Naruto started to use Giratina's distortion powers again. Link rolling out of the way of a slice by Naruto, could feel something about to happen. He replacing himself with a little orange book, sighed as Grimlock snapped his jaws down on the book. Naruto appearing again laughed and said, "Grimlock, show the fool your flames." Grimlock snorting roared and blew out white-hot flames, that Link barely jumped over. Sadly, this is what Naruto wanted as he punched the boy down hard. Link landing on the floor, wasn't prepared to be lifted up by his ankles. He was then dragged towards Naruto, who had a fist drawn back. Connecting the punch, a loud crunch could be heard. Link hitting the wall knew that his jaw was broken. He then standing to his feet, went through a few hand signs and called out summoning jutsu. In a poof of smoke a toad appeared, being roughly the size of Grimlock. Link on top of the toad said, "Gamatatsu, take the beast." The toad nodding jumped at Grimlock, who roared loudly at the challenge. Naruto vanishing back into the distorted world, picked awakened Jinx up and said, "Back to the fun I go." Everyone else was wondering how was it that the two giant beasts were even fitting inside of the tower. Anko having a hunch said it's because he's distorting time and space with his powers that the two massive beasts are even here. If he wasn't using his powers, we'd be pancakes by now. Kakashi, who was fuming at the loss of his book, said, "That damn bastard has to die for daring to switch places with my precious Aika." Everyone's sweat dropped hearing this. Kurenai coughing into her hand said, "I think you're right, Anko." Anko smiling said, "Good, because if no one had have answered me I would have told some very personal secrets." Kurenai hearing this blinked and asked, "What secrets?" Anko motioning her to come closer whispered something into Kurenai's ears. Kurenai was soon blushing bright red, and asked, "How did you find that out?" Anko smirking said, "Naruto's my little brother, I be damned if I haven't learned anything from him." Kurenai turning back to the battle promised to make Anko promise to never tell anyone that secret, as it would ruin her, but most importantly ruin her chances with Naruto. Naruto and Link locked in a heated battle of wills, one to kill, the other to defeat. Naruto then smirked for some reason, opening his mouth. Link gained wide eyes as he could feel something building up in Naruto's mouth. He jumping back gasped and a solid orange beam came out of Naruto's mouth and destroyed a good portion of the wall. Naruto closing his mouth, swung with Jinx, making everyone wonder why, until they spotted the thick black lines speeding towards Link. Said teen jumping over the lines rushed towards Naruto. Naruto blocking Link's sword with the spine of Jinx, lifted his left hand and said experience my new technique, Gran Ray Zero. Link gasped and a large ball of pulsing malice-filled energy appeared in front of Naruto's hand. He moving gasped when the ball turned into a beam, that scorched the earth, and went through the walls of the tower. You could see a clear path from the tower to the village. He was then forced to double over in pain, as Naruto finally connected a punch. Naruto then grabbing Link's head tossed him into the nearest wall. Naruto then appearing in front of Link, started to literally rain punches and kicks down on Link. He stopping the assault, grabbed Link by the throat and tossed him to the middle of the room. Naruto then appearing standing over the struggling Link moved his hand. Link's shirt was then torn to shreds, thick oozing wounds appearing on his body. Naruto smiling sliced Link's left arm off causing the boy to cry out in agony. He then cut off Link's right hand. Naruto laughing as the blood sprayed everywhere said yes scream for me foolish ninjen, bleed as I slowly finish you off. He then slowly started to chop off more of Link's body. Pretty soon Link was covered in his own blood, missing both arms, and most of his upper torso having lethal wounds on it. Naruto himself was coated in Link's blood, yet didn't seem the least bit upset. Naruto grabbing Link's sword, stabbed it into the right eye of Link. He pulling the blade out quickly smiled spotting the gaping socket of Link. Naruto slicing the eye into pieces then sliced off one of Link's ears. Naruto burned this with white flames from his mouth. Naruto then shaking his head said I'm bored now, guess I'll end this. Naruto then grabbed Link's head and to the shock and horror of many watching ripped the head and spine out with a single pull. Blood sprayed everywhere, and the tired toad finally vanished in a poof of smoke. Naruto turning to look at Grimlock said go my pet, inform Kamine and Tsubasane what you are. Grimlock roaring vanished in a burst of golden light. Naruto allowing Jinx to return to her normal form, turned to Hayate who looked a little greener than usual. Hayate swallowing his breakfast from this morning said winner Akatsuki Naruto. Naruto hearing this walked back to his spot, not even caring when Hayate called for a clean-up crew. Naruto arriving on the balcony blinked spotting the stars in Zabuza's eyes, along with the thumbs up from both Kakashi and Anko. Shrugging he leaned up against the wall, and went back to listening to his music. He didn't even pay attention to the other matches as he was lost in his music. He then blinked finding himself standing among the victors. He looking down at the paper in his hand read the number 3. He then smiled hearing that he was paired against Kankuro in the first round. He turning to the makeup-wearing boy made a throat-slitting motion with his finger, making Kankuro pale. He was then informed along with the others that they had a month to train. He not caring about this, waited until everyone was dismissed and went home to his apartment. Arriving there, he walked into his bedroom and blinked spotting Tsubasa laying on his bed, napping. He waking her up blinked when she said finally you're back from that stupid test. Naruto sweat dropping asked why are you here? Tsubasa smiling said to train you of course silly. Amaterasu and Susanoo said they'd be helping also. Naruto hearing this asked exactly what are you going to be training me in? Tsubasa gaining an evil smirk said everything, including your godly forms. Naruto blanching at this asked where will I be training? Tsubasa smiling said training ground 23, you'll train every day except for Saturday and Sunday. Naruto nodded to this, but then blinked when he was pulled to his bed and being used as a plushie by Tsubasa who said good now we sleep. Naruto feeling his eyebrow twitch could already tell that this was going to be troublesome. The next day Naruto was Saturday so Naruto decided to chill. He was sitting in his comfy chair, wearing only a pair of black shorts, when he heard a knock on his door. Sighing he got up and opened the door. He blinked spotting Kurenai at the door. He looking her over twice asked how may I help you Kurenai-sensei? Kurenai turning her head to the left to hide her blush asked I was wondering if you'd like to go out on a date with me tonight? Naruto blinking shrugged and said sure, what time do you want me to pick you up? Kurenai smiling said 7 and dress formally. She then vanished in a swirl of leaves. He closing the door, walked back into his living room. He was about to sit back down when Tsubasa walked back into the room, with a smile on her face. He quirking an eyebrow was about to ask her why she was smiling when she squealed, glomped him and said I can't believe my adorable little brother has a date with such a hot young girl. Naruto blinking turned into pure darkness and appeared in his kitchen. He shaking his head asked young. Last time I checked Kurenai-sensei was about 25 and in this world 25 is not too young. Tsubasa giggling said of course you feel that way, you're only 13, and haven't been alive for centuries, to me she's young. Naruto hearing this and drinking some grape juice asked just how old are you? Tsubasa giggling said 2 million years old, before you came along, Yami was the youngest of the gods, now you're the young one, probably why Yami is celebrating being an elder sibling now. She then grabbing Naruto's hand dragged him to his bedroom closet. Opening the doors she said now then let's help you pick out something befitting your status as a god. Naruto was about to decline this when, Kami, and 2 women he assumed were Susanoo and Amaterasu appeared. Kami smiling said don't try to argue darling little brother, you need help with your fashion choices. Naruto sweat dropping could only think this probably won't end well. At 7 Kurenai was nervously waiting for Naruto to knock on the door of her apartment. Sure enough she heard a soft knock on her front door. She taking a deep breath opened the door and gasped. Standing at her front door dressed in an elegant kimono was Naruto. His long platinum blonde hair was tied up into a single topknot, a golden pin in the front. The kimono was black with red veins and destroyed buildings decorating it. On the collar of the kimono was an intricate design of a simple C. She didn't know if he had on anything underneath the kimono but she thought he looked marvelous. He smiling at her said my sisters thought I should be dressed to match my status, underneath this fancy kimono is my shorts and my kunai pouch. He then showing her his hand, made her blink spotting the blood-red nail polish, and the 3 intricate rings on his fingers. The first ring was golden, and shaped like a dragon's head. The eyes were these large emeralds. The second ring was like a gate, with a dark blue circle in the middle, the kanji for destruction glowing in the middle. The last of the rings was silver and shaped like a small bug. He smiling said they also decided to paint my fingernails the color of blood, supposedly complimenting my aura. He then said enough about me though you look stunning, the red dress you're wearing compliments your stunning eyes. Kurenai blushing took his hand, closed her door and locked it. She then followed Naruto out on the town. She leading him to a very fancy eatery, walked up the host and said table for Yuhi. The woman smiling said Mrs. Yuhi please follow me to your table. Naruto following Kurenai to their table sat down, of course after she was seated, ordering a steak. He smiled at her and asked so Kurenai-sensei why did you ask me out on this date? Kurenai blushing said well I just wanted to get to know you, the real you not the bloodthirsty monster most people see. Naruto hearing this leaned on his hand and asked what do you want to know? Kurenai asked everything, like your favorite color, where do you learn to sing, your training, how you get your hair so tame, all of it. Naruto laughing said that's a lot of information Kurenai-chan, but I'll oblige you. He then smiling said my favorite color is orange, believe it or not, my favorite food is ramen, all kinds. I learned to sing from Jinxnei as she would sing me to sleep when I was troubled during my younger years. She also trained me, along with the old man, Anko, Ibiki, Inochi and Hay-8. My hair is actually very easy to take care of, as all I have to do wash it, then brush it once. My favorite type of music is alternative. He then started to tell her what she wanted to know, smiling at her captivated eyes. Their meals arrived and the both of them ate, with Naruto still telling her about himself. When they were finished, Naruto was surprised that they were now in a park walking down the paths, enjoying nature. Stopping at a tree, Kurenai said this is the best date I've been on so far. Naruto laughing said it's not over yet Kurenai-chan, tonight you get the special treat of hearing me sing another song to you, this time it'll be a full performance. He stepping away from her, snapped his fingers and 4 shadow clones appeared. One clone was on the drums, one was holding an electric bass guitar, another was holding a regular acoustic guitar. The last clone quickly transformed into a female and sat down on the amp. Naruto walking towards the microphone closed his eyes and said this one is for you Kurenai-chan, Kiss Me by Ed Sheeran, I don't own. Settle down with me cover me up cuddle me in. Lie down with me and hold me in your arms, and your heart's against my chest, your lips pressed against my neck. I am falling for your eyes, but they don't know me yet, and with a feeling I'll forget, I'm in love now. Kiss me like you wanna be loved, you wanna be loved, you wanna be loved. This feels like falling in love, weary falling in love. Settle down with me and I'll be your safety, you'll be my lady. I was made to keep your body warm, but I'm cold as the wind blows, so hold me in your arms. Oh no, me heart's against your chest, your lips pressed to my neck. I am falling for your eyes, but they don't know me yet, and with this feeling I'll forget, I'm in love now. Kiss me like you wanna be loved, you wanna be loved, you wanna be loved. This feels like falling in love, weary falling in love. Guitar solo. Yeah, I've been feeling everything from hate to love to lust from lust to truth. I guess that's how I know you, so I hold you close to help you give it up. So kiss me like you wanna be loved, you wanna be loved, you wanna be loved. This feels like falling in love, weary falling in love. Kiss me like you wanna be loved, you wanna be loved, you wanna be loved. This feels like falling in love, weary falling in love. Naruto, opening his eyes, blinked, spotting all of the females around him sporting huge blushes, hearts in their eyes, or plain out drooling. He, sweat dropping, focused on Kurenai, who had the brightest smile on her face. He, smiling at this, dismissed his clones, and walked over to her. He was surprised when she grabbed him and pulled him into a forceful, passionate, and hungry kiss. She, ending the kiss, smiled at him and said, "Let's go, this place is getting crowded." Naruto, shrugging, let her lead him out of the park. Arriving at her apartment door, about 2 hours later, she smiled at him and said, "Thank you for the wonderful date, Naruto-kun." Naruto, smiling, said, "No problem, it was fun and I enjoyed it." Kurenai, smiling, decided to give him more kiss. Naruto, leaning into the kiss, felt his entire body warm up. Kurenai, ending the kiss, opened her door and went inside. Once she was inside, Naruto smiled and said, "Nai-chan." He, turning around, turned to pure darkness and headed to his apartment. Arriving inside of it, he snapped his fingers and the kimono was gone, replaced with his pajamas. Walking into his bedroom, he, sweat dropped, finding Tsubasa once again curled up in his bed. He, shrugging, climbed into the bed, and instantly regretted it as she latched onto him and started cuddling him, like he was a teddy bear. He blushed when she nuzzled his face and mumbled, "You're so warm, Naruto-kun, we're gonna sleep like this for now on, okay?" Naruto, sweat dropping, decided to just go to sleep and deal with this later. Review or die trying. Remain faithful, all of you true believers, and live long and prosper. Monday morning, we can find Naruto sitting in training ground 23, his hair looking like he was just waking up, and a little drool could even be seen on the side of his face. Honestly, he didn't look his best. Hell, he was still even in his pajamas. Tsubasa, with a large smile on her face, could be seen standing in front of him with a scary smirk on his face. She was also holding something behind her. To her left he could see his other sister Susanoo. She had long flowing dark gray hair, that was tied into a ponytail. She had on this black battle armor, and in her left hand was a sword that looked like it was made in the very fires of hell. She had a large smirk on her face, spotting her still very sleepy little brother. To the right of Tsubasa was Amaterasu. She had short spiky red hair, and tan skin. She was dressed in a black tank top, showing off her tattooed arms. She had on a pair of red jeans and thick black boots. She had the Manjikyu Sharingan blazing in each eye and had a devilish smile on her face. Naruto, yawning, asked, "Are we going to train or can I go back to sleep?" Tsubasa, giggling, revealed the object behind her to be a pair of shackles. Naruto had to quirk an eyebrow at this when Susanoo said, "These are to be wrapped around your wrist and ankles. Each shackle weighs around 250 pounds, you are to wear these for the entire month. If you take them off for any reason, you will be forced to run laps on the moon." Naruto, hearing this, paled. Amaterasu, giggling, said, "That's not all. Today you'll be training your reflexes, so myself and Tsubasa will be throwing everything we have at you." Naruto, hearing this, actually turned white, as this wasn't going to end well. Tsubasa, giggling, said, "That's not all, Naru-chan. Susanoo is also going to be teaching you Kenjutsu, and the surprise for you is that if you can make it 3 weeks without removing your weights, then Kami-chan will be teaching you how to enter Sage mode with the Pokemon, and the last week will be training with Kaguya-chan, learning more powers of the Akatsuki clan." Naruto, hearing this, sighed and asked, "I'm not going to be able to walk home, am I?" All three, giggling, said, "Nope, one of us will have to carry you home." He, sighing again, removed his shirt and said, "All right then, let's get this started." Tsubasa, giggling, attached the shackles to him and said, "We begin now, Naru-chan." 7 hours later and Naruto was being carried by Tsubasa, as his body was literally smoking. Tsubasa with a gentle smile on her face was about to nuzzle Naruto's face at how cute he looked right now, when a shadow appeared in front of her. She looking up scowled, spotting Jiraiya of the Sanin. The man didn't look happy, in fact he looked downright upset. He stomping up to her said, "Wake that little monster up, so I can seal his powers away, and lock away his memories so he can be with Minato like the good brat he is." Tsubasa was about to say something when Naruto said, "Tsubasa-ne, put me down, I have to deal with this fool." Tsubasa sighing put him down and watched as Naruto struggled to his feet. He once on his feet scowled at Jiraiya and said, "Begone foolish toad, before I turn you into swamp stew." Jiraiya scowling said, "You stupid boy, you killed Link, he was my greatest student yet." Naruto laughing said, "No, you foolish ninja, Nagato was and still is your greatest student yet, with Konan coming in a close second." Jiraiya scowling said, "They are dead, you fool." Naruto snorting said, "Yeah, and Orochimaru is not a pedophile, Tsunade's not busty, and Hyuga Hinata isn't my stalker." Jiraiya scowling at this said, "That's it, you and me now, brat." Training Ground 10. Naruto shrugging followed the Toad Sage to Training Ground 10. Once there he noticed that the Namikaze family along with the Genin teams were there. Jiraiya smirking said, "You're going down, brat." Naruto snorting said, "That's funny, I was just about to say the same thing." Kakashi walking in the middle of the field said, "This is an all-out battle between Jiraiya of the Sanin and Naruto Akatsuki, Konoha's god of carnage. The winner is decided when the someone is unable to stand up. None are to interfere." He then turning his head asked, "Are there any more stipulations?" Jiraiya with an arrogant smirk said, "If I win, the brat gets his powers sealed and returns to the Namikaze family." Naruto snorting said, "When I win I'm going to end your career, but my stipulation is that you have to stop doing your so-called research in the village hidden in the leaves. I refuse to let you peek on my Nai-chan, Ankone, Yuego-chan, or any other female belonging to this village. And so help me Izanami-ba, if after I curb stomp you I'd better not even hear from Kakashi and I that one of them or even someone resembling them is in your little orange book, or I'll personally feed your soul to Tsubasa-ne and use your body as target practice for my most extreme fire jutsu." Jiraiya smirking said, "Done." Kakashi having written everything down made both people sign the sheet, along with the others around them. When Tsubasa signed, everyone blinked and the paper turned black and Jiraiya's name turned ash white. Tsubasa giggling said, "This document is not only legally binding, but once Jiraiya Baka breaks the contract his soul is automatically sent to me." She then started to laugh with an evil glee. Naruto ignoring her evil cackling was in the middle of the ring with both of his eyes closed. Jinx was sitting on his back. He still had his shackles on but wasn't even worried about them as he planned on using the powers of Zekrom or maybe Kyogre. Hell, if he felt like it he might even go Primal Kyogre or Mega Lucario on the Baka. He then opening his eyes revealed the Kyosugan now with 9 Tomo and 4 rings. He then tapped into the power of Zekrom, could feel lightning sparking off of his body, and could hear the roar of thunder in the distance. Kakashi then started the match and Jiraiya, like the arrogant fool he was, rushed towards Naruto thinking that as a Sanin he had this in the bag. He was sadly mistaken as with the sound of a thunderclap Naruto vanished. Jiraiya was then sent skipping across the training area, electricity sparking off of his body. Naruto appearing 2 inches from where he previously was could be seen cloaked in a powerful electric current. The current was as black as the night and as thick as baby's arm. It was so powerful the grass was burning and soil beneath his feet was blackening. Naruto literally had so much electricity running through his body right now, all the hair on his body was standing up, and his body was glowing. Jiraiya standing to his feet shook his head and scowled. Running towards Naruto again, this time with a Rasengan in his hand, he gasped when Naruto ran towards him with Kakashi's signature lightning blade in his right hand, but 10 times more powerful. Hell, the lightning was carving into the ground. Jiraiya launching a clone forward, flinched when the clone was fried on contact with the lightning edge. He then came forward and slammed his Rasengan into Naruto's stomach thinking that he had won. His eyes widened when Naruto turned into a mass of shiny red goop. Naruto appearing back in his starting spot, had his hair shadowing his face, the lightning still sparking around him. He slowly lifting his head tapped into the powers of Primal Kyogre. Like that a substantial downpour appeared over not only Konoha, but the elemental nations itself. Hell, AIM was getting even more rain than before, and people were terrified of this. Naruto's eyes then changed from the dark purple of his Kyosugan to an almost snow-white, the tomo, and the rings were now purple instead of snow white. Naruto, looking up, seemed to be at peace. Until he screamed in agony. The scream started to transform from an agony-filled scream, to an insane, powerful, and dark laugh. The reason why? Well, once again Naruto was going through a transformation. His body shot up in height as he went from 9 feet tall, until he was a hulking 7 feet tall. His hair spiked out and turned a black. Thick black horns grew out of his skull. That was covered with what looked like thick white goop. His mouth gained sharper teeth, and his 4 large canine teeth were glowing with power. His tongue forked, and became coated in a dark red goop. His body gained an extreme layer of muscle, and parts of his arm gained some of the white goop, looking like cartilage connecting his arms together. Thick bony spikes grew out of his elbows. His hands widened and a slit appeared in each hand. In the right hand a glowing blue orb with the symbol for Alpha appeared. This arm became dark blue and glowing runes for Alpha could be seen running up the arm. In the left hand was a dark stone pulsing with electricity. This arm turned pitch black and lightning patterns could be seen in the arm. His chest then widened and a slit appeared in the middle of it. Naruto, roaring, tapped into the powers of Mega Mutuo X. A dark purple stone appeared in the middle of his chest. His upper body then turned dark purple and unknown symbols appeared on his body. From his back 6 large pairs of powerful wings appeared. The first pair was a very dark blue, with the white goop saturating parts of the wings. This pair of wings also looked to be made of water. The second pair of wings was pitch black and sparking with lightning, and the white goop was applied liberally on the wings. The last pair of wings were dark purple, and the white goop was stretched across the inside of the wings like a protective shell. His lower body became just as powerful as the upper body and just as confused. The feet arched up, and thick white claws appeared. A thick and long tail appeared, that had spikes going all the way down. The tip of said tail was shaped like a spear. Naruto roared again as the white goop spread across his body and tentacles appeared on his body. On each item in a slit his symbol appeared. What looked like black tears come from the edge of Naruto's eyes and trailed all the way down his face. The last thing to happen was for a slit to appear in the middle of his forehead. The slit then opened and revealed something that shocked Tsubasa, Kami, Amaterasu, Yami, Susanoo, Tsukuyomi, Izanami, and Izanagi, all of whom were watching. In the slit, glaring at Jiraiya with pure malice, was a fully evolved, fully matured, full-powered Kyosugen that was dark red with 36 snow-white tomo and 6 white rings. Naruto then roared, and the ground shook. He then set all 3 of his eyes on Jiraiya, who was actually shitting his pants at the moment. Tsubasa was the only one to notice that Jinx was gone. She, looking around for the mighty blade, gained wide eyes, spotting Jinx in her human form as a 5-year-old girl, standing behind Naruto with wide eyes. Tsubasa, teleporting to Jinx, grabbing her, and moving back from the battle, asked, "How in the 9 rings of hell are you not in your sword, and why are you 5? Jinx, looking up at Tsubasa, said, "Tsubasa-sama, that form is no ordinary god form. That right there is a true face of destruction. That is Naruto's god of destruction form. And honestly, he has more power than myself and the other Bijou combined right now." Tsubasa, hearing this, felt her jaw scrape the ground. Everyone else hearing this was shocked. Hell, Kushina and Minato was gaping at this statement. Even the spying Kabuto was shocked by this information. Naruto then started to laugh, and it made many shiver, some in pure lust, others in justifiable fear. Naruto, clenching one of his fists, said, "Now this is power. On one hand we have the full might of Zekrumheim, the Pokemon version of Big Sister Susanoo. On the other hand we have primal reverted Kyogre, the Titaness of the sea. Then we add in the full power of a mega-evolved Mutuo and the full power of my lovely mother's Kyosugen." He then, clenching his fist again, smiled when a bolt of lightning struck down the tree near Jiraiya. He then, chuckling, said, "Tsubasa, take note that I now have a god of carnage form, a pseudo-god of technology form, and a god of destruction form." Tsubasa, with a scroll out, was indeed writing this down and describing the first 2 forms. Naruto then vanished, and everyone gaped when Jiraiya was sent barreling through several trees. Naruto, appearing behind him, grabbed the man by his arm and tossed him head first into the sky. Naruto, vanishing in a flash of black lightning, appeared above Jiraiya and slammed his left hand down on Jiraiya's back, making the man gurgle in pain as blood was in his mouth. Jiraiya, crashing down the ground, didn't get a break, as Naruto appeared and kicked the Toad Summoner in the shoulder, making him fly towards more trees. Naruto, appearing in front of Jiraiya, clotheslined the man, making Jiraiya's body try to catch up with his head and neck. Naruto with Jiraiya's chin on his elbow smirked and started to spin at a high speed, literally becoming nothing but a blur of colors. He then stopping his spinning sent Jiraiya soaring towards a small river. Naruto appearing over the man, was about to slam his fist into the man's gut, when the man turned into smoke. Jiraiya appearing on the other side of the river, was panting and holding his right shoulder and knowing that his entire arm was dead. He quickly going through hand signs summoned the chief toad. Naruto spotting the toad smirked and started to chuckle. He turning to look Anko in the eyes said, "Remember the question you asked me, Ankone? Well, I'm about to give you a first-person point of view of one of my larger summons." He doing the necessary hand signs swiped one of his canine teeth with his finger and slammed it on the ground and roared out summoning jutsu. A huge poof of smoke occurred that was larger than Gamobuta. A loud screech then was heard and everyone from Konoha who was rooting for Jiraiya got the feeling that whatever Naruto had just summoned was going to make Gamobuta look like a fresh guppy. The smoke from Naruto's summon cleared and Tsubasa started to curse like a sailor. The reason why? Well, Naruto was now flying beside a origin form Giratina, who was flying around him. Naruto smirking switched out the power of Mega Mutuo X for his Giratina Heim. A black orb appeared in the slit of his chest, and golden pincers appeared on his face. All 6 of his wings gained red spurs on the ends. Giratina leaning forward asked, "Who dares summon me? I am the queen of the different dimension." Naruto flying up to Giratina's face, gently placed his right hand against her face and said gently, "It was I who summoned you, my beautiful queen of the different dimension." Giratina hearing his flattering words tilted her head and asked, "Who are you, mortal, and why do I find myself so attracted to you?" Naruto smiling said, "My lovely queen, I am Akatsuki Naruto, 9th member of the Eternal Council of the Gods. I am the youngest son of Akatsuki Kaguya, mother of the Sage of 6 Paths and very first person to ever use chakra. I am the god of carnage, the god of technology, and the god of destruction. I am also the summoner of all 719 Pokemon including yourself, my rebellious queen. I have been blessed by your mother Kamiheim with the ability to use your powers." Giratina hearing this nuzzled his hand and said, "You are the one mother spoke to us about, the newest god, and the one who would bring us to a new home. I am honored to be the first legendary you summoned, my different dimension emperor." Naruto smiled at this, ignoring the gobsmacked looks on everyone's faces. Hell, even Jinx was shocked. Gamobuta hearing the entire conversation said, "Oh hell no, Kami-sama warned the summon realm about fighting the new god and her little brother. Jiraiya, I am not about to be turned into chow for one of those damn hellhounds Akatsuki-sama can summon." He then shook the shocked Jiraiya off of him and hopped over to Naruto, who was looking on in amusement. Gamobuta stabbing his dagger into the ground and actually dropping to one knee said, "Lord Akatsuki, I Gamobuta, chief of the Toad summons Herbie, swear loyalty to you and pledge that no member of the Toad clan shall ever fight against you, your family, or any of your summoner. I also pledge that if you ever need assistance to only ask and the entirety of the Toad clan will be at your call." Naruto smiling said, "I accept your loyalty and pledges, Gamobuta, now begone as I have a pervert to finish off." Gamobuta nodding vanished in a poof of smoke, making Jiraiya cursing like a sailor. Naruto sitting down on the ground smirked and said, "What will you do now, Arrow Sanin?" Jiraiya sneering held out his hand to form a larger version of the Rasengan. He smirking at the shock on everyone's face, including Minato, said, "This is my improved version of the Rasengan. Myself and Link was so close to figuring out how to finish the jutsu. This is my ultimate trump card since I can't use the toads against you." Naruto chuckling said, "Well then, let's see the power of this so-called improved version of the Rasengan." He then crossing his arms said, "I tell you what, I won't even lift a finger to defend myself. I'll let you hit with me with your attack." Everyone blinked hearing this, including Jiraiya. Naruto laughing said, "Well then, come on." Jiraiya shaking his head launched at Naruto with the really big Rasengan and slammed it into Naruto's arms while crying out, "Cho Udama Rasengan." A cloud of smoke occurred and most people thought it was over, but Anko knew better. She had this feeling in her gut that attack didn't even bother Naruto. She was right, as seconds later loud amused laughter could be heard in the smoke, terrifying Jiraiya and making many others pale and tremble. TTJD cough, civilian council cough. When the smoke cleared, standing there without a scratch on him was Naruto, Giratina still in her origin form circling his location high above him. Naruto smirking unfolded his arms and said, "What a disappointment. Oh well, I guess I can show you a true attack." Jiraiya couldn't even get a word out as he was launched into the sky. Naruto appearing in the sky behind him, wrapped his arms around Jiraiya's stomach. Flying into the storm clouds, he tossed the man high above them. Appearing behind the man, he had his right hand held up high. He letting loose a terrible laugh said, "Do try not to die from this combination Hijitsu, pure destruction." In his very hand the elements of a storm formed. First a lightning bolt appeared, it being the color of blood. It then got surrounded in a powerful wind current. In this wind current water could be found. Then the lightning bolt was encased by a thick iron casing. That casing grew lovely flowers and a few roots appeared at the edge. Then the metal casing got a thin layer of ice on it. Finally the entire thing was trapped inside a pink crystal shaped like the snarling face of a dragon. Naruto then tossed it at Jiraiya as the man was falling through the storm cloud, towards the same river that Naruto had tried to knock him into earlier. The attack hit him just as he breached the clouds again, this time soaked to his skin by the torrential rain in the clouds. There was a huge explosion and his scream was so loud it could be heard all the way in Demon Country. He then hit the river hard, making him scream even more as the lightning bolt hit him again once he made contact with the water. Everyone flinched hearing him scream and wondered what was going on, well, everyone except for Tsubasa, Jinx, Kakashi, Anko, Sarutobi, Konohamaru, Moegi, Udon, Irika, Uego, Ino, Shikamaru, Hinata, Kiba, Kurenai, Shino, Chuji, Asuma, Tenten, Lee, and Niji. They weren't wondering because they were looking through Sarutobi's crystal ball to witness. Anko, giggling like a schoolgirl, said that was the most badass, purely destructive, flashy, impossible, illogical thing I have ever seen. She then, wiping away a tear, said, "I'm so proud." Kakashi, shaking his head, said, "It seems like just yesterday I was teaching him how to walk and talk, now he's creating and using S-rank jutsu like it's normal." He then started to cry in joy as he said they grow up so fast. Sarutobi, shaking his head, said, "I remember when he was just a snot-nosed kid who had eyes only for two things, ramen and his Ankone, now he's a B-rank shinobi in the bingo book, a god, part of the Eternal Council of Deities and one of the most powerful shinobi Konoha has ever produced." He then, wiping a proud tear from his eye, said, "Damn, I'm proud to call him my grandson." Jinx, drooling, said, "Me want Naruto, me want have Naruto's kids, me seduce him." Tsubasa had a dictionary in her hands and was writing in it. She, drawing Naruto's picture for the definition of destruction, said, "My little brother just literally redefined the word destruction." She, shutting the book with a goofy grin on her face, said, "He is definitely a member of the family now. I mean, what other family can admit to doing shit like that?" Konohamaru, Moegi, Udon, Ino, Kiba, and Chuji all had stars in their eyes. At once they all said, "That was so fucking awesome, I wonder if he'd be willing to teach me that." Irika, hearing this, quickly made a note to beg Naruto not to teach that to Konohamaru, Moegi and Udon, and to also find out when did the three learn such foul words. Kaion and Akane, turning to look at each other, both nodded and said, "Never ever piss of Akatsuki-sama." Naruko, putting some of her red hair behind her ears, said, "Stupid arrow Sanin, I'm probably gonna have to heal him now, damn." Natsumi, in the shocked Kushina's arms, was bouncing up and down in pure joy, squealing about how awesome that was. Kushina herself was trying to calm her rapidly beating heart as what Naruto had just done was godly. Minato was pale and sweating as Jiraiya was most likely dead or knocking on death's door. The civilian council was already making plans to instantly get on Naruto's good side or they were royally screwed. Kabuto was staining his underwear on both ends, terrified at the pure destructive power Naruto had at his disposal. Sasuke was fuming in jealousy. Sakura was now changing her focus from Sasuke to Naruto, realizing that Naruto could destroy Sasuke with one finger tied behind his back. Shino, pushing up his shades, said, "Most terrifying." Kurenai had a hand over her mouth at this. Hinata was giggling like Jiraiya would be if he was near a bathhouse. Lee had flames in his eyes and shouted YOSH. Niji was wondering who would win in a all-out battle between he and Naruto. Tenten, like Hinata, was giggling in pure perversion. Asuma, letting his cigarette drop from his mouth in pure shock, was feeling very afraid of Naruto. Shikamaru, sighing, mumbled, "Troublesome gods." Chuji was shoveling popcorn down his mouth, enjoying the show. Uego was wiping the drool from the corners of her mouth at how badass Naruto was being. Naruto, landing, smirked at the smoking form of Jiraiya. He then, walking over to the man, said, "Now to finish you off." Two clones appeared and grabbed the man. 2 more clones appeared and grabbed the man's legs. Jiraiya was now laying flat on his stomach, a Naruto clone holding each of his limbs. Naruto jumping into the air, flipped over with his left foot raised high. He descending on the squirming Jiraiya said shades of Senju Tsunade, heavenly curb stomp. He then slammed his left foot down on Jiraiya's spine, smirking at the loud sickening crunch that could be heard. This was followed by Jiraiya screaming very loudly. He dismissing the clones, walked over to Tsubasa, slowly coming out of his transformation. When he reached her, his eyes rolled to the back of his head, as Tsubasa barely caught him in her arms. She giggling said he won, and Jiraiya will never be a shinobi again, as Naruto has basically crippled him from the waist down. She then smiling turned to Jinx and said, "Come Jinx, we need to get him home, he does have a date with a certain purple-haired Umbu tonight, and will need some sleep." Jinx pouting said, "Okay Tsubasa-sama, but does he even know about the date you and Kami-sama set up?" Tsubasa giggling as she walked away said he will when she comes to pick him up tonight. Everyone around her sweat dropped and thought, I see how Anko is the normal one. Anko herself was pouting as it was just confirmed that she was indeed the normal one. Yuego then realizing that she was the only Umbu with purple-haired Umbu squealed in barely contained glee. She grabbing Kurinai's right hand dragged her away and said, "Come on Naichan, you have to help me prepare for my date with Naruto-kun." Kurinai with a sweat drop said, "You're acting like a fangirl Yu-chan." Yuego turning to her with flames in her eyes said, "I will forget you said that as Naruto-kun is taking me out on a date. If you ever say that again I will show you just why I am not a fangirl." She then continued to drag Kurinai to her home. Anko now with a cloud of depression over her head was drawing a circle in the ground near a tree as she mumbled, "I'm the normal sister. I'm supposed to be the wild and crazy sister that has a craving for blood and explosions." She then standing proudly with an evil smile on her face said, "Well then I'll just be the older sister with blackmail material on my darling little brother." She then vanished in a swirl of leaves, missing everyone in the group's sweat drop at what she had just said. Sarutobi shaking his head turned to Kakashi and said, "I still think it was a bad idea for her to become his guardian/sister. Kakashi reading his book said, "I have always thought that Hokage-sama, it was the late Uchiha Mikoto-sama that convinced you to let Anko be his guardian/sister, frankly I wanna know how she did so." Sarutobi remembering just how Mikoto had talked him into it, scowled and said it was all because of Jiraiya. He was caught doing his research by her and she was about to turn him into a female the hard way, but decided to inform me of his trespassing. Kakashi hearing this said, "Well there you go, she came in when you were using your crystal ball to peek on women and was going to turn you into a woman, but then decided to blackmail you into letting Anko become Naruto's guardian, so in a way it's all your fault Hokage-sama." Sarutobi's eyebrow was twitching as he said, "Hatake Kakashi, for that, you'll be chasing Tora until all 3 of your students become Chunin." Kakashi hearing this actually started to tremble in fear. He then remembering how Naruto could make the demon cat come to him stopped sweating and said, "No problem Hokage-sama." Sarutobi gaining an evil smirk said, "Did I forget to mention that you will not be allowed to get Naruto to assist you?" Kakashi hearing this quickly said, "Please don't honorable Hokage-sama, I'll be a good boy I promise." Sarutobi started to cackle with evil glee. That night Naruto was once again dressed in a regal kimono, this one being golden with the image of a crumbling city in purple. His hair was once again tied into a top knot, this one having 2 purple pins in it. On his neck was the necklace given to him by Kami, and on his fingers were his rings. The added thing was the thin layer of black eyeliner around each of his eyes, along with the golden orbed earrings. Naruto yawning glared at his 2 sisters who were on the couch watching a movie on the TV he had just created. He was about to yawn again when someone knocked on his door. He getting up opened the door and blushed spotting Yuego in a purple spaghetti-strapped dress. Her purple hair was as it normally was, and she had on a light appliance of makeup on her face. She had on fang-shaped earrings and had on a pair of purple high heels. All in all, she looked drop-out gorgeous. She smiling said, "Well, are you ready for our date?" Naruto smiling closed the door said, "Ready as I'll ever be." Yuego taking his arm then lead him to one of the fanciest restaurants in the village. She saying her name walked inside with Naruto and smiled when he held out her chair for her. Once she was seated he himself took a seat. Once they ordered their food, the 2 of them started talking and before long Naruto was smiling as Yuego was laughing at the joke he had just told. Yuego eating the meal she had ordered wondered what they should do next. She blinked when she spotted Tsubasa appear with a sign that said "Take a walk through the village." that ends at the Hokage monument. She smiling decided to do what was suggested. She after Naruto finished his steak, took him on a walk through the village leaning on him as the moon shone down on them as they walked. Naruto himself was enjoying the walk and wondering if he should sing a song for Yuigo too. When they reached the monument he smiled as this was his favorite place to go. He sitting down, smiled at Yuigo when she sat down beside him. He asked her, so what made you choose this place to lead me to after that lovely meal? Yuigo leaning against his arm said, I just wanted somewhere that we had a great point of view, and this place has the best view. Naruto smiling was about to agree, when his senses started screaming at him. Standing to his feet he looks around and spreads his chakra across the village and outside of the village. His eyes widened feeling 3 chakra signatures heading towards the village with about 20 other more sinister chakra signatures chasing them. He standing up discarded the kimono and summoned Jinx in her scythe form. He teleporting to the location of the chakra signatures, felt it when Yuigo teleported to the Hokage's office to inform him. His eyes nearly fell out of his head spotting Uchiha Mikoto being assisted by the sound girl from the forest and girl with spiky red hair, red eyes, and black glasses on. Behind them was multiple sound shinobi. He teleporting in front of the girls asked, what are you doing with Mikotoheim and why are you being chased by those scumbags? Kin panting said, we found her in one of Orochimaru's bases, and rescued her. The redhead wiping the drool from her chin said, those scumbags as you call them are chasing us because of the fact that we rescued her from him. Also behind us are 2 people wearing black cloaks with red clouds on them. Naruto hearing this narrowed his eyes and said, get behind me. Karen and Kin nodding quickly moved behind them with a panting Mikoto. The sound shinobi landing scowled and said, move kid and let us take back what Orochimaru stole fair and square, of course after we kill those stupid sluts for stealing her. Naruto gaining a terrifying smirk on his face said, I'm afraid I can't do that, you see those 2 sluts as you called them now belong to me, and Mikotoheim never belonged to that snake-faced failure. Now I'm going to give you one chance to get lost before I rip your souls out of your bodies and feed them to my darling sister. The sound shinobi hearing this started to laugh with arrogance and said, kid, it's 1 against 20. Naruto hearing this started to cackle with glee as he said, oh no, I'm afraid you've got it wrong, it doesn't matter how many you bring, I'm the god of carnage and my lovely partner is Jinx the 9-tailed fox. All 20 shinobi hearing this blanched and stuttered, you're the god of carnage. Naruto laughing said, so you finally see. He then vanished and appeared behind the man. Tilting his head to the left he said, oh well. As he said this all 20 men fell into chunks of meat. Just then 2 people in black cloaks arrived. Naruto looking at them, raised an eyebrow and asked if it isn't Hitachi Uchiha and a walking fish, what are you doing here? Hitachi with a serious look on her face said, Naruto-kun, please come with us now, our leader has decided that you have become too powerful. Naruto laughing said, oh please Hitachi-chan, we both know that you're only in that pathetic group to protect me from the inside. He then blocked a swing from Kisame and said, this one on the other hand. He then tossed Kisame back and launched at the man, while Hitachi walked over to her mother and removed her Akatsuki cloak. Wrapping it around Mikoto she said, my mission is done, you have been found mother, and Naruto-kun is strong enough to protect himself. She then blinked when 3 squads of Umbu appeared along with Kakashi, Anko, Zabuza, and Sarutobi, all of them ready to fight to the death. She then heard someone snort. Turning around she blinked spotting Naruto holding Kisame's head in his hand, Samahata over his shoulder wrapped up. Walking over to Sarutobi he handed the head to the man and said, you guys move too slow, I've already taken down all threats, and rescued Mikotoheim. His eyes moving to the once again drooling Karen and the shocked Kin said, old man, those 2 are to be placed under the protection of the Akatsuki clan, and they are both willing to inform you of everything the snake-faced bastard has. He then narrowing his eyes said, if either of them are hurt in any way I'll personally rip the head off of the person who does it, no matter who it is. He then sending Jinx back home said, now if you'd excuse me I have a date to finish. He then vanished in a swirl of black fire. Appearing back on the monument he sat down as Yuigo appeared back by his side. She leaning on his arm asked, will you sing me a song Naruto-kun? Naruto smiling said, of course my Heim. He standing up snapped his fingers and once again the clone band appeared. This time the female clone was not sitting on the amp. Naruto summoning his guitar closed his eyes and said, this one if for you Yu-chan, all my heart by sleeping with sirens I don't own. Naruto opened his eyes and sweat dropped spotting Yuigo with hearts in her eyes. He then, hearing someone shout his name, looked down at the village, and the sweat drop grew, spotting all of the women in the village all below them swooning at the fact that he just sang to Yuego. He, making the clones vanish, was about to leave to his apartment, when his right arm was grabbed by Yuego, who had nothing but lust in her eyes. She, smiling, said, "The date isn't over until I say it's over, Naruto-kun." She then teleported to her apartment, still holding on to him. She, locking the door to her apartment, shoved him into her bedroom. Naruto, landing on her bed, wondered what was going on, when she came in just her underwear with a lust-filled smile on her face. She then, walking towards him with swaying hips, said, "I hope you're ready, Naruto-kun, because you're not leaving this room until tomorrow." Naruto's sweat dropped hearing this, and thought that's why Tsubasa said she'd see me tomorrow, damn it. She knew this was going to happen. Revenge will be mine, dear sister. Yuego then pounced on him. Across the village in his apartment, still watching the TV with Jinx, Tsubasa suddenly shivered and felt really cold for some reason. Jinx, spotting this, giggled and said, "You just made his prank list. I hope you're ready, Tsubasa-sama." Tsubasa, hearing this, blanched and started to tremble in fear.